Chapter 879. The definition of a love-hate relationship. Unfortunately, Yun Chujio was distracted by a golden witch hazel by the roadside. She did not pay attention to Shui Wuji at all. She replied casually, "Then thank you, brother Wuji. I was just worried about how to refine a spirit-nourishing pill for a little loach. I didn't even need to spend any effort to get it." Yun Chujio dug out the golden plant with a small shovel as she spoke, too busy to care about the details. Shui Wuji was so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood. He had secretly practiced this affectionate gaze for a long time, but it was missed by little sister Ju just like that. Di Baiming stood at the side and said indifferently, "Shui Wuji, there are some things that cannot be obtained by hard work. You should give up as soon as possible." There are no absolutes in life. "Let's wait and see," Shui Wuji said with a cold snort. Yun Chujio had already dug out the golden witch hazel and put it into the jade box before storing it in her storage ring. She asked with a smile, "Prince Charming, brother Wuji, what are you talking about? Why do you sound so excited? I find that your relationship is getting better and better." Di Baiming and Shui Wuji snorted at the same time. A good relationship? What a joke. Yun Chujio looked at the two of them and suddenly thought of something. This was the definition of a love-hate relationship. She immediately imagined a novel with a similar premise. To Wu Xiaobei, little Gong pretended to like a girl, but in fact he was only interested in Xiaobei. While Xiaobei kept provoking little Gong, hoping to get his attention. "Hey little Jiao, what are you staring at? Hurry up and follow me." Di Baiming realized that the words "black thing" no longer fit Yun Chujio. White thing was a more appropriate nickname now. "Di Baiming, can't you be gentler to little sister Jiao? She has been digging for a long time. Can't she take a break?" Shui Wuji naturally would not let go of this opportunity to elevate himself and defame Di Baiming. The corners of the eyes of secret agent Huahua and Enfeng twitched. It seemed like little Miss Jiao had been digging for less than half an hour, right? How tiring could it be? Moreover, the ninth miss was clearly in a daze just now, and the smile on her face looked so perverted no matter how one looked at it. Yun Chujio laughed dryly and hopped around to hold Di Baiming's arm. She thought to herself, fortunately the pretty boy was not attracted to others like him. Otherwise she would not be able to enjoy meat in the future. Speaking of which, she was already 16 years old. Why had her period not yet start? If her body did not function normally, when would she become like fifth and seventh sisters? "Little sister Jiao, why don't we catch a high-level demon beast later? Just like at the West Valley, well interrogated about the whereabouts of the trapped people." "Little sister Jiao?" Shui Wuji saw that Yun Chujio didn't respond, so he called out again. Yun Chujio finally came back to her senses. Brother Wuji, what did you say?" "I said, why don't we capture a demonic beast to lead the way?" Shui Wuji couldn't help but feel puzzled. What was little sister Jiao thinking of just now? Why was she so engrossed in her thoughts? Yun Chujio nodded. "Alright, let's do it that way. Let's see which unlucky bastard comes to us voluntarily." However, what made the five of them feel strange was that they had not encountered a single demonic beast the entire day, let alone a high-level one. "Little sister Jiao, could it be that this place is still isolated from the East Valley?" "No. Look, there were obvious signs of people picking herbs and traces of demon beast activity. However, these marks are at least half a month old. Could it be that something happened to them? Or were they trapped somewhere else?" Yun Chujio frowned and said. Chapter 880. I climbed too fast. Yes, what little Jiao said makes sense. This should be the East Valley. I just don't know why the demonic beasts and cultivators suddenly disappeared. They are likely trapped somewhere. Di Baiming felt that what Yun Chujio said made sense. "Little sister Jiao, what should we do next? Should we just try looking for their whereabouts like without a plan first? There doesn't seem to be any other good solutions. We can only search in one direction." Yun Chujio sighed and said. Yun Chujio had considered releasing the demon beasts in her storage ring and letting them help look around on their own. However, this place was different from the West Valley. They were not familiar with the layout of the valley here. Moreover, although they were at the top of the food chain in the West Valley, however, they were now at the bottom of the food chain in the East Valley. If they were not careful, they might end up eaten by high-level demonic beasts. They could not possibly save them and hurt them at the same time. It's really strange. You said that the cultivators gathered to discuss ideas on how to get out. Then they might have been wiped out by a whole nest of beasts. However, the demon beasts have always been scattered and uncoordinated. What method did the people of the godly devil hall use to capture or trap them? Yun Chujie was puzzled. Di Biming thought for a moment and said, perhaps they have something that can attract demon beasts. We neglected this problem at Longping Mountain. Almost all the demon beasts there were captured by the formation. I guess the godly devil hall used special methods back then too. Although Xue Wuji wanted to disagree with Di Biming, he had to admit that Di Biming's analysis was reasonable. No matter how high your spiritual power was, it was impossible to find out where all the demon beasts were hiding. There had to be something that attracted the demon beasts to make them want to voluntarily walk into the trap. Yun Chujie inexplicably thought of the strange grass in her dantian. If she used it, would she be able to create a similar effect? There wouldn't be any relatives of the strange grass in the godly devil hall, right? While thinking about the strange grass, she suddenly thought of an idea. They could do the opposite and let the strange grass summon the demon beasts. Even if none of the demon beasts came, they would still feel restless after they sensed the summoning. It was also possible that some managed to avoid the trap. Perhaps they might be able to find some clues from those left behind. After all, how could so many demon beasts disappear without leaving any traces? Yun Chujie thought of that and used her divine sense to ask the strange grass, "Strange grass, do your best to lure some demon beasts here. If you do well, you will be rewarded." Although the golden tortoise would obey if she forced it, Yun Chujie felt that it was better to let it help her of its own initiative. After all, when being forced to do something, the seeds of dissatisfaction are almost always sown. Who knows what kind of evil schemes might be hatched against her if that happened. After Yun Chujie took out and activated the isolation disc, she began to refine some medicinal pills. The pretty boy had once said that she could refine heaven-grade pills without letting others know, so it was better to be careful. After a quarter of an hour, Yun Chujie put away the isolation array, and a rich medicinal fragrance immediately spread out from where she was. Xue Wuji was shocked. "Little sister Jiu, you refined a muscle-growing pill? How did you finish refining it in such a short time? Shouldn't it take 2 hours?" "What nonsense are you talking about?" Little Jiu, ignore him. Quickly feed the pill to the golden tortoise and ask it for the whereabouts of those people. Although Di Biming knew that Xue Wuji had a good impression of Yun Chujie and would not harm her, people's hearts were hard to predict. Now that they were friends, it was hard to guarantee that they would be enemies in the future. Little Jiu's alchemy skills were heaven-defying, and the fewer people who knew, the better. Chapter 882. A sea of red flowers. Xue Wuji was sometimes a fool, but he was very shrewd. When he heard Di Biming's words, he knew what was going on in his heart. He sneered in his heart. "This facial paralysis underestimated me, Xue Wuji. Although I act recklessly, little sister Jiu was irreplaceable in my heart. Why would I betray her?" However, this facial paralysis was very interested in little sister Jiu. If it were me, I would do the same. High-level alchemists were too popular in the cultivation world. Many forces imprisoned alchemists to use them exclusively for their own sex pill refinement. At that time, the golden tortoise had already swallowed the muscle revitalization pill. The crippled leg began to feel warm. The golden tortoise was so excited that it almost cried. That crippled leg had been numb for a long time. Now that it could feel the heat, it meant that the pill that the little devil gave it was indeed effective. After another hour, the golden tortoise's crippled leg had already returned to normal. The golden tortoise was so excited that tears streamed down its face. "I could finally walk as fast as flying again. This was great. Little shell, I've healed your leg. Now bring us to the place where those demonic beasts were trapped. Don't say that you don't know anything. You must have escaped the trap because you were too slow. However, you should still know the general direction." The golden tortoise nodded. After it smelled the fragrance back then, it dragged its broken leg and crawled with all its might. Unfortunately, before it could reach the place, it had disappeared. When it came back to its senses, it found that the entire East Valley had gone silent. It was as if not a single demonic beast existed. The golden tortoise thought that something was wrong and quickly crawled back to the cave. Since then, it had never seen any other demonic beasts. It felt a little suspicious. Could the strange fragrance be a trap? This time, when the strange grass was emitting the fragrance, it initially ignored it, but the fragrance of the strange grass was stronger than the one before. It couldn't bear it anymore, so it desperately ran over. Yun Chujie originally wanted to let the golden tortoise lead the way, but considering its extremely slow speed, she summoned 3 huge mighty elephants from the spirit beast bag. The 5 of them and the golden tortoise sat on their backs and went towards the direction that the golden tortoise had indicated. A day later, while Yun Chujio sat on the elephant's back, she began to see a sea of fiery red flowers on the horizon. The red flowers blotted out the sky and covered the earth. Yun Chujio frowned. This spirit herb valley was not a garden, so it couldn't be cultivated by humans. How could the same type of flower grow so luxuriously? How could it cover such a large area? As they got closer to the sea of flowers, the 3 mighty elephants grew excited. They sped up and no longer listened to Yun Chujio's commands. Even the golden tortoise began to feel restless. Unfortunately, its speed was too slow to do anything. Even after trying for a long time, it only managed to climb a small distance. It did not even manage to climb down the elephant's back. What was worse was that even Enfeng and Secret Agent Wa's eyes revealed an anxious look. If they had not used their spiritual power to forcefully suppress it, they would have jumped off the elephant's back and rushed toward the sea of flowers. Di Biming and Xue Wuji fared slightly better. Although the 2 of them also felt that there was a kind of power summoning them, their willpower was tough. They could rely on their willpower to suppress that desire, without resorting to using their spiritual power. The only one who was not affected was Yun Chujio, the little devil. She touched her chin. It seemed that the problem lay in the sea of red flowers. Chapter 883. I want to try something. Yun Chujio did not stop the mighty elephants and allowed them to charge into the sea of flowers. After entering the sea of flowers, the 5 of them jumped off the backs of the elephants. The 3 mighty elephants and the golden tortoise were still very excited and were having fun amidst the sea of flowers. Enfeng and Secret Agent Hua also no longer resisted the effects. Sleepiness struck them and they just wanted to lie down. The 2 of them could only sit cross-legged and circulate their spirit energy to resist the lethargy. Di Biming took out the isolation disc and activated an isolation array. Only then did everyone snap out of their stupor. This flower is quite beautiful. What kind of flower it is? I haven't seen it in the 100 volumes of medicinal herbs. Yun Chujio said in confusion. Xue Wuji suddenly slapped his thigh. I remember. This was the infernal mirage flower. It was a spiritual plant from ancient times. It is extinct now during modern times. It said that both cultivators and demon beasts thought that this flower was too dangerous, so they eradicated it as soon as they saw it sprouting anywhere. After a long time it gradually became extinct. How can there be such a large field of infernal mirage flowers here then? That's right, this is indeed the infernal mirage flower. As the name implies, the fragrance emitted by this flower can cause many kinds of hallucinations. In the beginning it's exciting, but after a while one will start to feel sleepy. After one falls asleep, one will be immersed in hallucinations. Unless there's an external force to wake you up, you will die unknowingly, and the dead demon beast and human carcasses will become nutrients for the infernal mirage flower. What was even more terrifying was that if humans or demonic beasts stayed amongst the flowers for too long, they would become dependent on its fragrance. Even if they were awakened, they would do everything they could to find this flower again and willingly send themselves to their deaths. Di Biming added on. How long will it take for you to become addicted? If you become addicted, is there a way to break free of it? Yun Chujio nodded. The flower sounded similar to the modern poppy, but the infernal mirage flower seemed to be even more potent in its effects. It was indeed a flower of evil. You will become addicted in a month. There isn't any reliable method and you can only rely on your willpower to forcefully get rid of your addiction. That's why this species of flower was feared by everyone. It didn't take long for it to become extinct. A month? I wonder how long Elder Chu and the others have been trapped here. Looks like we have to hurry. Since we can't find yet, let's destroy these flowers first. Yun Chujio rolled her eyes as she said, Prince Charming, help me clear out a small piece of land first. I want to try something. Although Di Biming did not understand what Yun Chujio wanted to do, he still cleared out a piece of land. Yun Chujio took out a pile of firewood from her storage ring and struck it with lightning. Then she used a rolling pin to hammer the burnt charcoal. After the charred charcoal was hammered into small particles, Yun Chujio mixed a few recovery pills into it. Then she took out a few pieces of linen from her storage ring. After wrapping the small particles in layers, she sewed them into a simple mask. Little madman, cover your mouth and nose with this and see if it has any effect. Yun Chujio handed the simple anti-poison mask to Enfeng. Yun Chujio was not that confident. The anti-poison mask was filled with activated charcoal, and the process was very complicated. Although the charcoal she used was a little stronger than the fire, it might not have any effect. However, it was mixed with a spirit awakening pill, so it should be able to make up for it. And Feng followed Yun Chujia's instructions and tied the 2 strips to his ears. Then he covered his mouth and nose with a linen cloth. The refreshing smell of the awakening pill instantly made people feel much more energized. In addition, the charred coal blocked the invasion of the infernal mirage flower's fragrance. He instantly felt refreshed. Chapter 884. The odd relationship between Master and Pedant Feng was unable to speak due to the mask being too heavy, so he gave Yun Chujio a thumbs up, indicating that the effect was very good. Seeing this, Yun Chujio quickly gave one each to Secret Agent Huahua, Di Baiming and Shui Wuji. After the 3 of them put it on, they felt that it functioned well and expressed that the mask kept out the flower's fragrance. Yun Chujio immediately turned narcissistic. Sigh. What can I do about myself? Why am I so smart? I even have to admire myself. The corners of Di Baiming and the other 3's eyes twitched. They ignored her and began to eradicate the infernal mirage flowers. Yun Chujio did not stay idle either. She first used a rolling pin to wake up the 3 mighty elephants and the golden tortoise before letting them into her spirit beast bag. Then she continued to make more masks. This mask had a time-limited effect. The charcoal and awakening pills inside had to be replaced regularly, otherwise the mask would lose its effectiveness. Thus she made quite a number of filling materials, using linen to sew dozens of replacement masks. Only then did she help Di Baiming and the others get rid of the infernal mirage flowers. While Yun Chujio was happily being struck by lightning, the strange grass shyly expressed its desire to eat those flowers. At that point, Yun Chujio was already used to the unique tastes of what the strange grass wanted to consume. Moreover, earlier she had said that she would reward it. Thus she began to uproot several infernal mirage flowers and stuffed them in her mouth. Master, I'm not affected by those infernal mirage flowers. Let me out and I will help you burn them all, the flaming 3-tailed fox king said in the spirit beast bag. Yun Chujio was stunned for a moment. Then she realized that it made sense. Little Red had the innate ability to charm people, so it naturally had a strong ability to resist charm. Thus she let him out to help. When Enfeng returned to change his mask, he was stunned to find that Yun Chujio was stuffing flowers into her mouth one by one while the flaming 3-tailed fox king was using fireballs to burn the remaining flowers near Yun Chujio. Enfeng put a palm to his face and looked at the 2. He felt that he had suffered a critical hit of 10,000 points. Yun Chujio handed a new mask to Enfeng. Then she emptied the expired charcoal inside the old mask and refilled it with a fresh batch. This way it could be used again. The sea of flowers was very large. The 5 of them worked for an entire day, but they had not found any trapped cultivators or demon beasts. Moreover, they could not see the edge of the sea of flowers. At night, the 5 of them activated an isolation array in a clearing and began to recuperate. Sigh, this sea of flowers is endless. I wonder if Elder Chu and the others can hold on until we find them. Yun Chujio sighed and said. Little Jiu, you don't have to worry too much. Elder Chu and the others also have isolation array discs on them. If they react quickly and activated the isolation array discs in time, they should be able to hold on for some time. Besides, didn't that golden tortoise say that the last time the demon beasts were attracted was half a month ago? I reckon that Elder Chu and the rest have not been trapped for that long. Di Baiming consoled. Yun Chujio nodded. I hope so. The people of the godly devil hall are indeed powerful. This infernal mirage flower field was not planted in a day or 2. It seems like they had planned to do this all along. I don't believe that it grew naturally. Di Baiming frowned. It seems like the godly devil hall is much more powerful than we thought. What we discovered might only be the tip of the iceberg. Perhaps their tendrils have already extended to the Tianyuan continent. Shui Wuji also became serious. That's right. I didn't take this bullshit godly devil hall seriously at first. But now it seems like they're not to be underestimated. The strength behind it is unfathomable. When we go back, I have to send people to investigate them. Chapter 885. I'd borrowed them after they had some food. The 5 of them busied themselves once again. They began to make masks under Yun Chujio's instruction. After several experiments, This mask could only last for 15 minutes, which was a huge consumption of resources. Fortunately, Yunchujia's storage ring contained ample amounts of firewood and awakening pills. The next day, the 5 of them continued to destroy the infernal mirage flowers. Yunchujio threw lightning bolts for a while before she realized that it was too slow. It was best if there was a faster and easier way. Faster. It would be great if this thing was a dead branch. The living branches and leaves are all wet. Burns too slowly. Flaming three-tailed fox king complained. Little Red, are you stupid? If it were a dead branch, would you still need to burn it? Yunchujio rolled her eyes at it. The flaming three-tailed fox choked and stopped moving after realizing what he had said. He silently continued to spew more fireballs at the flowers after that. Yunchujio rubbed her chin and thought for a moment. Little Red's words were not unreasonable. If she could think of a way to make the fire burn faster, that would be great. Yunchujio rolled her eyes and came up with an idea. She shouted at the 4 people in front of her. Hey! All of you come over here. I have an idea. Di Biming and the other 4 quickly gathered around her. Little Jio, what sort of idea do you have? Hee. Watch me. After Yunchujio finished speaking, she took out 5 large copper basins from her storage ring which were filled with rapeseed oil. Let's pour this rapeseed oil onto those infernal mirage flowers. I'll throw some more firewood into it. After lighting it up, Brother Wuji, you should generate some wind. The wind will borrow the strength of the fire, and the fire will borrow the strength of the wind. This combination will definitely turn the fire into an inferno. Little Sister Gio, what if we hurt those trapped people? This infernal mirage flower doesn't burn easily. The areas without the rapeseed oil and firewood will be extinguished quickly. If you're still worried, we'll just set up a quarantine zone somewhere nearby, Yunchujio said with a smile. Shui Wuji repeatedly praised her. Little Sister Gio, how can you be so smart? I really admire you. Di Biming saw that Shui Wuji had started acting flirty again. He wished he could kick Shui Wuji toward the clouds. With a sullen face he said, in that case, let's hurry up and not waste any time. Yunchujio transferred the firewood and rapeseed oil into the storage rings of the other 4 and then began to divide the work. A moment later, a raging fire started to burn. Yunchujio said proudly, how is it? A good idea is half of the recipe to success. The efficiency is much higher than before. Moreover, this doesn't consume spiritual power. I'm simply too smart. Shui Wuji was naturally the first to support her. He said sincerely, Little Sister Gio, didn't I say just now? You're the smartest and most beautiful girl I've ever seen. Just as Yunchujio was about to pretend to be humble when she saw Di Biming smirk and say, Little Gio, what I'm more interested in is where did you get all these jars of rapeseed oil? Why did you store so much rapeseed oil? Yunchujio laughed dryly. I borrowed them all from the Spirit Radiant Sect's kitchen. I'm from a poor family after all. You all know that old bastard Tiandao doesn't like me. Who knows, I might be trapped somewhere, so I naturally have to prepare everything. Let me tell you, not only do I have rapeseed oil, but I also have several jars of salt in my storage ring. There's also soy sauce, vinegar and pepper noodles. Basically, I have everything I need to start a restaurant if I wanted to. Di Biming and the other 3 were once again struck speechless. Chapter 886. Found them. Everyone thought to themselves, borrow? I have a feeling the things you borrowed will never be returned. Wherever the fire went, the infernal mirage flowers burned to a crisp. Occasionally, the few that did not burn to ash were eradicated by the 5 of them. It was better to extinguish such evil flowers. Even with such a large fire, it was not until the afternoon of the 3rd day that everyone heard the cries of demonic beasts. Everyone sped up their efforts and no longer burned the flowers. Instead, they used their spirit powers to destroy the infernal mirage flower. An hour later, they discovered that a few demonic beasts were in a state of frenzy. It was obvious that they were still affected by the flower's fragrance. Yunchujio gave them a smack with her rolling pin and made them stay further away from the flowers. Then she splashed them with cold water to wake them up. The demonic beasts had blank looks on their faces. You were poisoned by the infernal mirage flower and I just saved you. Where are the rest of the demonic beasts and cultivators? Are they far from here? Yunchujio asked the demonic beast. The demonic beasts nodded and pointed in a direction with their claws. Yun Chujio chose the smallest of the demonic beasts and put on a gas mask for it to lead the way while she kept the rest of the demonic beasts in her spirit beast bag. Those few demonic beasts obeyed Yun Chujio's instructions. They were not stupid. If the little girl wanted to kill them, she would have already done so just now. Therefore they confidently followed her in peace. The smallest demonic beast was a two-eyed lightning mink. After putting on the mask, it miraculously realized that it could not smell the abominable fragrance anymore. It admired these few humans. These 5 people were much smarter than the ones trapped inside. The more they walked inside, the more distinct the roars of the various demon beasts became. Gradually they started to see some large demon beast. Without a doubt, those demon beasts were all still affected by the flower's abominable fragrance. Some were extremely excited and some were unable to control their grief, some were madly spinning in circles. Yun Chujio and the others could only knock them unconscious one by one and put them into their spirit beast bags, preparing to wake them up again when they had time. Finally, Yun Chujio saw the isolation arrays laid out in front of them, which were filled with cultivators. Yun Chujio immediately saw the elders of the Spirit Radiance sect, and her heart instantly relaxed. When those people also saw Yun Chujio and the other 3, they immediately felt a sense of hope wash over them. These people were different from the people trapped in the West Valley. Most of them had been to the ancient sword tomb, so they knew the strength of these 5 people, especially when they saw that Yun Chujio had escaped from the ancient sword tomb. They felt that this little girl was not ordinary. She would be the one to save them for sure. Yun Chujio did not have time to chat with them. She gave masks to a few cultivators with high spiritual power and asked them to help destroy the infernal mirage flowers. Yun Chujio asked the trapped cultivators to provide a lot of firewood and items that could ignite a fire. Soon a large fire burned fiercely. The more people there were, the more power there was. Everyone worked for almost a day and finally burned all the infernal mirage flowers into ashes. Even if some did not die, they were destroyed by their spiritual powers and couldn't be resurrected. Yun Chujio then asked about what happened to everyone and why they were trapped in this sea of flowers. Elder Chu sighed and began to tell the story. After we found out that we were trapped here, we started to look for a way out, but there was no exit. The ones who came in later ended up in the boat. We eventually gathered together here. We were unwilling to be trapped like this, so we split up again to look for a way out or a barrier. However, almost everyone returned with bad news. Just when we were falling to despair, Elder Zhang from the Heavenly Gate sect suddenly ran back and said excitedly that he had found the barrier. Chapter 887. The story of being trapped. When we heard his words, we were naturally overjoyed. In our joy, we didn't bother to ask any more questions and followed him to this place. At that time, these infernal mirage flowers were just some low plants that hadn't bloomed yet. Moreover, their young plants were very similar to the non-toxic flaming paper kite. At that time we were in a hurry to find the enchantment barrier, so we didn't examine them carefully. We thought that it was just flaming paper kites, so even though we thought that there were a lot of them, we didn't consider them a threat. However, when we entered this place, those flaming paper kites grew buds at a rapid speed and bloomed into infernal mirage flowers. In an instant, a rich fragrance pervaded the air. Fortunately, Elder Chi reacted quickly and told us to quickly activate an isolation array. At the moment we entered the isolation array, a large number of demonic beasts rushed over here. Despite being in the isolation array, we soon fell under the illusions of the flowers. Elder Chu briefly recounted what had happened. Elder Zhang of the Heavenly Gate sect? The Elder Zhang who framed me for killing his grandson? Yun Chujio asked. That's right, it's him. Then where is he? That bastard didn't wait for us to settle the score with him. He bit his index finger and used a secret technique. After the image of a red spider lily formed in midair, he disappeared. I never thought that he was actually from the Red Spider Lily faction. The Heavenly Gate sect again? I caught a person from the Godly Devil Hall in the West Valley. Oh, so that's the name of the Red Spider Lily faction. It seems that the Godly Devil Hall has already embedded a spy amongst the 4 great sections. Yun Chujio briefly told everyone what had happened in the West Valley. The elders of the Heavenly Gate sect looked ashamed. They had not expected that the spies from the East and West Valleys to be from the Heavenly Gate sect. Little Geogirl, you have always been resourceful. What should we do next? Following Elder Chu's words, everyone looked at Yun Chujio with anticipation. Yun Chujio was now their last hope. They placed all their trust in Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio touched her nose and said, "Everyone, I don't have any good ideas. I only have 3 methods that worked so far. The first one is the same one I used in the ancient sword tomb. It involves drawing out the rune spirit's Wu Yun to attack me. Doing so will consume its spirit stones. We will look out for the fluctuations in spirit energy to help us find the enchantment. The second is to split up and look for a place where the fluctuation of spiritual power is abnormal. The third is the same method that I used in the West Valley. I will let the demon beast help us look for it. They are more familiar with the terrain here. Maybe they might find something." Little Gio, the second method is basically useless. We have almost run all over this place, but we haven't found any abnormal spiritual power fluctuations. We can only try the first and third moves. Okay. Then I'll try to lure out the Wu Yun by cursing it. After saying that, Yun Chujio began to curse at the rune spirit with her hands on her waist. Her cursing was so dry that it did not have any effect. Yun Chujio asked everyone to help her curse it, but it still did not have any effect. Apparently, the rune spirit here did not fall for her trick. Yun Chujio had no choice but to let out the demon beasts from the spirit beast bag. After waking them up, she told them about the incident. The demon beasts were even more intelligent than the ones in the West Valley. They immediately understood Yun Chujio's meaning, but one by one they shook their heads. It meant that they had lived here for hundreds or even thousands of years without discovering any abnormal spiritual fluctuations. Everyone was discouraged. It was over. The little devil's 3 methods had all failed. Could it be that they could only await their deaths here? Chapter 888. I will protect you too. Yun Chujio had no other choice. She had never studied array formations before and had only learned the basics from some books she had read. Other than finding the enchantment and breaking it by force, she did not have any other good ideas. Seeing this, everyone could only try their best and split up again to look for places where the spiritual energy fluctuation was abnormal, including those demonic beasts. The golden tortoise also wanted to go but was kicked aside by Yun Chujio. Forget it. Before you managed to climb 2 miles, those other beasts would already be back. The golden tortoise felt that its self-esteem had been severely damaged. Was it that slow in climbing? It felt that it was only a little slower than the other beasts. As the days passed, everyone and the demonic beasts returned dejectedly as they still found nothing. Yun Chujio did not know whether to laugh or cry when she found out that some of the demonic beasts were still missing. Later on, she found out that they had been eaten by other high-level demonic beasts. She thought that it was true. Those high-level demonic beasts had been starving for half a month, so they naturally wanted to have a good meal. When the golden tortoise found out about this situation, it immediately felt that Yun Chujio's kick was a good thing. Otherwise, it would have been eaten by them too. It was too close for comfort. Everyone and the other beasts were very depressed. All of them drooped their heads. Only Yun Chujio was still alive and kicking. She ate and drank well every day and did not seem to be worried at all. "Little Gio, aren't you worried that we won't be able to get out?" Elder Chu asked in confusion. "Time still passes if you're worrying. The same also happens if you're happy. Might as well be happy. Besides, is worrying useful? If you are happy, you might find a solution in a flash." Yun Chujio said with a smile. Elder Chu was stunned and then he threw his head back and laughed. "That's right. This old man is not as open-minded as a little girl like you. Indeed, it's useless to be sad. You can be happy instead. Little Gio, lend me a small hot pot. I want to satisfy my craving." Hearing their conversation, some of the people and beasts became more cheery, but most people still dropped their heads and frowned. Although Yun Chujio was acting carefree, she had been busy thinking of a way to get out inside. Who would be willing to wait for death? She originally planned to summon the Leopard King as a leather chair, but when he saw Di Biming, he immediately changed his mind. "Prince Charming, come here for a moment." Yun Chujio stretched out her hands and waved at Di Biming. Di Biming thought that she had something to do, so he quickly got up and sat beside her. "Little Gio, what's the matter?" "Well, it's nothing big. I'm a little tired. Let me lean on your shoulder for a while," Yun Chujio said and leaned on Di Biming. Di Biming put his right hand around her waist and said gently, "If you're tired, sleep for a while." "I'm not tired. I just can't think. It's a little annoying," Yun Chujio pouted and said. "There will always be a way. Don't worry. Even if the enchantment is destroyed, I will protect you. Nothing will happen to you. Di Baiming's eyes were deep and his words were full of determination. Yun Chujio felt her little heart go weak. Damn, when Prince Charming talks about love, it's too destructive on me. She wanted to ravage him. The two looked at each other with tenderness and a swirl of emotions, all in silence. Little sister Jiu, I will protect you too. I would rather die than let anything happen to you. Xue Wuji could not stand Di Baiming and Yun Chujio showing off their love and affection, so he immediately took the initiative to give Di Baiming a hard time. Chapter 889. No one else like him. Di Baiming took a deep look at Xue Wuji. Xue Wuji could not help but shiver. He shouted, Di Baiming, why are you looking at me? I just want to express my feelings. Can't I do it? Di Baiming snorted, you're thinking too much. I'm just looking at the scenery. Xue Wuji looked at the charred ground and thought to himself, are you trying to fool me? Di Baiming, be a little more sincere when you're lying, okay? There's nothing but scorched earth around. What are you looking at? Your taste isn't that weird, right? Do I need to explain to you what I'm looking at? I have my reasons for looking at it, Di Baiming said coldly. Humph. There's still a reason. If you can see through the enchantment, then you're the best. Xue Wuji curled his lips. Di Baiming was originally staring at Xue Wuji, so he was not looking at the scenery. However, Xue Wuji's provocation gave him a flash of inspiration. Such a large area of infernal mirage flowers must have been artificially planted. Are you just only realizing things? Of course, such a large area naturally can't have grown naturally. Xue Wuji curled his lips and said with a disdainful tone. Di Baiming ignored him and continued. Since it was planted by humans, then the godly devil hall must have sent people here, and there must be more than one person. Yet the demonic beasts have never noticed anything unusual. What does this mean? Yun Chujio clapped her hands. It means that they must have activated an isolation array when they planted it, but that's not the point. The point is that they can come and go freely. Either they have set up a teleportation array here or this place is close to the enchantment. Di Baiming curled his lips. That's right, what little Jiu said makes sense. So, we just need to focus on the vicinity of this field of infernal mirage flowers, and we will definitely find something. A teleportation array costs a lot of resources and it takes a long time to set up. So it is very likely to be right next to the enchantment. The people from the godly devil hall most likely opened a gap in the enchantment before they came in. Yun Chujio jumped up happily and told everyone and the beasts Di Baiming's deduction. Hope rekindled in everyone's hearts again, and they began to look for the enchantment separately. Although the area of this infernal mirage flower was not small, there were many cultivators and demon beasts. They put in their best efforts and finally, a day later they found something. Yun Chujio did not expect that the one who found the enchantment was the golden tortoise. The story went like this. Everyone and the other beasts set off to find the enchantment. The golden tortoise did not want to be outdone. Unfortunately, it could not climb far despite trying its best. Yun Chujio saw that it was too slow, so she decided to be playful. Little Shell, you are too slow. Come, I will send you off. Little Jio's shadowless kick. After saying that, she kicked the golden tortoise. The golden tortoise flew 1,000 feet away by Yun Chujio, and then a strange scene happened. The golden tortoise hit something and was bounced back. Both the golden tortoise and Yun Chujio were dumbfounded. He had found the location of the enchantment just like that. Yun Chujio rubbed her eyes and asked the golden tortoise with a slightly trembling voice. Little Shell, did you just bounce against something? The golden tortoise nodded its head rapidly. He felt that his luck was really good recently. First, his crippled leg had been healed by the little devil. Then he had escaped the fate of being eaten by a high-level demon beast. Now he had found the location of the barrier by accident. There was no one else like him. Chapter 890. Little Jio's shadowless kick. Yun Chujio quickly ran to the spot where the golden tortoise had bounced against. She threw a bolt of lightning in front of her and sure enough her spiritual power attack hit something. Ha ha ha. She laughed so hard that she fell back and forth. Blessed people don't need to be busy. I didn't expect that I would find the enchantment with just one kick. My little Jio's shadowless kick is too cool. There were dozens of onlookers nearby. They stared at each other. How could things work like this? Damn it. They had been searching for the enchantment for months without finding anything. The little shell found it with one kick from the little devil. Were the heavens bullying them because they were uneducated? This was too fucking unfair. Little sister Little Geo, you are so awesome. You are the person that I admire the most. Shui Wuji immediately began to flatter her. Yun Chujie was laughing so hard that she could not close her mouth, but she still pretended to be modest. I'm just SSOO. Di Baiming was calculating in his heart. No matter what, he had to find something for Shui Wuji to do after leaving the enchantment. He was getting annoying. Everyone quickly call back those people and beasts. Let's discuss how to break the enchantment and seize the moment, Di Baiming said to those onlookers and beasts. The crowd and the beasts immediately went to deliver the message happily. Not long after, the others rushed back at the fastest speed in their lives. Little Geo, did you really find the enchantment? How did you find it? I heard that it involved kicking a tortoise. What happened? Elder Chu asked anxiously. I'm the kindest person. I saw that this golden tortoise crawled too slowly, so I used my Little Geo's shadowless kick to send it off. Then it coincidentally bumped into the enchantment and bounced against it. The corner of Yun Chujie's mouth was so proud that it could not be hidden. She felt that this matter could be bragged about for years. Everyone and the other beasts listened to Yun Chujie's story and were also dumbfounded. The difference between the abilities of humans was too big. It was really a blow to regular people. However, they were more concerned about how to break the enchantment. They were already going crazy being trapped here for so long. Moreover, the godly devil hall might have already made a move outside. Almost half of the high-level cultivators of the Azure Mystic Continent were trapped here. If the godly devil hall made a move now, things would be dire. After Yun Chujie divided everyone into groups, they began to take turns attacking the barrier. Yun Chujie also released the demonic beasts of the West Valley and asked them to help attack the enchantment together. She also warned those high-level demonic beasts not to hurt them, or they would be struck by lightning to their death. Those high-level demonic beasts had already eaten their fill. Naturally, they would not be so stupid as to openly defy Yun Chujie, this little devil. They let out a few roars as a sign of agreement. This enchantment was much stronger than the ancient sword tombs. This was because the ancient sword tomb's enchantment had been greatly depleted by the Wu Yun there, expending much of its energy. However, the spiritual energy here was abundant. Fortunately, there were many cultivators and demon beasts. They could replenish their spiritual energy by taking turns to attack. However, cultivators could take fasting pills and food. Those demon beasts, however, did not have a reliable food source. They could only stare and starve. Even their attacks were not as fierce as before. Yun Chujie thought for a moment, and she painfully took out a lot of low-level demonic beast corpses from the Great Void Mystic Realm and fed those demonic beasts. She thought to herself, when I get out of here, I'll have to earn back twice as much of these things, or else I'll suffer a huge loss. Everyone was busy attacking the enchantment, so they did not pay much attention to Yun Chujie's actions. Even if they saw it, they thought that these demonic beast corpses were collected by Yun Chujie during the trial. They thought to themselves, this Yun Chujie is really greedy. She even collected the corpses of these low-level demonic beasts. She does not waste anything at all. Chapter 891. A dish of pills. Everyone and the demonic beasts kept up the attacks for a full 10 days. Although there were ripples on the barrier, there were no signs of cracks. However, everyone had little spiritual power left. Although they could take turns to rest, they had been using up their spiritual power faster than the rate at which they could recover. Everyone was a little discouraged. After all, this was an ancient formation. How could it be so easy to break the barrier? Previously, in the ancient sword tomb, it was because the rune spirit had fallen for Yun Chujie's trick. That was why they had taken advantage of it. This time they were afraid that they would not be able to escape using the same method. Everyone, don't be discouraged. Take out all the spirit-gathering pills and explosive spirit pills in your storage rings and consume them. If there are any medicinal herbs, pass them to me and a few alchemists. We will immediately start refining pills for you. You must persevere, or else all your previous efforts will be wasted. The spring breeze blows and the war drums beat. Who have we ever been afraid of? Everyone charge. Yun Chujie took out a small pink veil and waved it vigorously. Everyone and the other beasts were immediately energized by Yun Chujie's words. They swallowed the medicinal pills one by one. Moreover, there was no distinction between humans and beasts now. While they ate, they also tossed some food to the demonic beasts, and the crowd began a new round of attacks. Yun Chujio and the other alchemists began to refine more explosive spirit pills. She did not use the Heaven and Earth Universal Furnace. Instead, she took out an alchemy furnace that she usually used in her sect and began to refine the explosive spirit pills. Then the so-called high-level alchemists of the Azure Mystic Continent were dumbfounded. They saw that Yun Chujio could refine a batch of explosive spirit pills in less than 15 minutes. Moreover, all of them had a 100% success rate. What was even more abnormal was that 10 of them were all super-grade explosive spirit pills. Elder Qi had always suspected that Yun Chujio had been hiding her strength so that he would not lose face. At this moment he was even more convinced of this idea. This little girl's talent in refining pills was simply too shocking. Yun Chujio used the corner of her eyes to sweep across the dumbfounded crowd. She hurriedly said, "Everyone, don't just stand there. Hurry up and refine the pills. Whether or not we can break through the enchantment will depend on us." Only then did the crowd come back to their senses and resumed refining the pills. Although they were not as abnormal as Yun Chujio, they were still the top alchemists of the Azure Mystic Continent. Soon a large batch of explosive spirit pills appeared on the ground. However, something seemed strange. They were placed on big dishes by Yun Chujio. Those alchemists were dumbfounded. When had they ever used the big dishes to hold the pills? At the very least they had used a gourd to hold it. It was an eye-opener for them. Yun Chujio said with conviction, "It's convenient for them to use their hands to hold it in a bowl. Moreover, it's intuitive. You can see the number of pills refined at a glance." Another 10 days passed. Cracks began to appear in the enchantment, but it was not large enough to let these people and demonic beasts out. Yun Chujio began to think again. She waved her pink veil and shouted, "The dawn of victory beckons to us. This is the moment of darkness before dawn. As long as we persevere, victory will definitely belong to us. Do you guys want to have a good meal? Do you guys want to have a good sleep? As long as we persevere for another 3 days, the enchantment will definitely break. I have high hopes for you guys." Sleeping was now an attractive prospect to everyone and the beasts. They only had a short period of time to take turns to rest for the past few days. They had suffered from a serious lack of sleep, and now they were completely relying on their spiritual essence to support themselves. With Yun Chujio's bluff, everyone persisted for another 3 days. Although the crack had become a little bigger, it was still not enough for everyone to pass through. Yun Chujio changed her strategy. Combine 2 groups into 1 group and double the strength. The enchantment will definitely be broken tomorrow. In fact, she was not sure if the enchantment could be broken the next day. However, in order to encourage them, they believed her and rushed forward again. Chapter 892. Savior Tax. The crack in the enchantment was big enough for more than a dozen people to pass through the next day. Yun Chujio smugly touched her nose. What had she said earlier? The prediction was accurate. Everyone work harder. When the crack grows bigger, rush out according to the order of attack. Don't worry. The 5 of us will stay at the end. We will ensure that you can get out safely. Yun Chujio continued to wave the small veil and shouted. Initially, everyone felt a little uneasy when they saw that Yun Chujio, Baiming, and the other 3 did not participate in the attack. Now that they heard Yun Chujio say this, they could not help but feel ashamed. It was a textbook definition of not judging a book by its cover. They thought that they were slacking off, but in the end they were the ones who were going to stay behind for everyone's sake. Some took the initiative to ask the last batch to evacuate together with Yun Chujio and the others. Yun Chujio nodded in agreement and remembered all these people in her heart. These were the people who could be befriended in the future. At the critical moment, one could even see a person's true character. Another day passed. The crack was by then large enough for dozens of people to rush out together. Yun Chujio let the cultivators retreat first according to the order, and the demonic beasts were put into her spirit beast bag. She complained in his heart. The spirit beast bag that was given to me by the pretty boy seemed to have limitless capacity. It can actually continue to hold so many demonic beasts. Baiming learned from the lesson of the ancient sword tomb and did not leave Yun Chujio's side for a moment. Xue Wuji also stayed by her side, ready to be a hero at the critical moment to save the damsel in distress. However, the evacuation was uneventful. Yun Chujio and the last group of people also safely withdrew from the enchantment. When the cultivators who went ahead saw Yun Chujio and the others exit the barrier, they immediately cheered. At that time it was already evening outside. The sunset glow in the sky was particularly gorgeous. When everyone saw the beautiful scene in front of them, they felt as if a lifetime had passed. Those cultivators thanked Yun Chujio in droves. Some of them even had red eyes. They would have hugged Yun Chujio's thigh and howl were it was not for the fact they would get in trouble for doing that to a woman. Before Yun Chujio could say anything, Xue Wuji curled his lips and said, "You should at least be sincere in your thanks, right? My little ninth sister risked her life to save you. She has no blood relations with you, yet you have the nerve to say a few words of thanks and it's over? Do you think it's appropriate for you to let my little ninth sister enter such a perilous place and return empty-handed? Do you think you can live with your conscience if you go back like this? Aren't you afraid that you would be haunted by guilt in the future? Don't you know what my little ninth sister likes the most? Spirit stones, spirit tools, spirit herbs, anything is fine. My little ninth sister is just too shy to accept them. We'll keep them for her. Come on everyone. I guess you're tired too. After you give your thanks you can go to sleep. Brother Wuji. How can you say that? You are trying to repay us with kindness. That is not right. Everyone don't listen to my brother. I have never asked for anything in return when I do good things. You don't have to feel guilty. Although I feel a little regretful that I didn't pick any spirit herbs, and although I almost died in there and suffered some psychological damage, you really don't have to give me any thanks. You really don't have to give me any spirit tools, spirit herbs or spirit stones. Yun Chujio said with a smile. Everyone was speechless. Do you think we are all fools? You two are playing good cop, bad cop. This is a trick to get something. However, everyone did not object. How much was life worth? Life was priceless. Not to mention that the little girl only wanted a small token of appreciation. Even if she wanted all of their wealth, they would give it to her. Chapter 893. Shameless and invincible. Everyone took out their gifts one after another. Spirit stones, spirit herbs, and spirit tools swooshed into Yun Chujio's storage ring. Although Yun Chujio said she did not want them, she did not reject them either and kept them all in her storage ring. You guys are too polite. Just give us 18 million spirit stones, 180 earth rank high-grade spirit herbs, or 10 spirit tools. There's really no need to give us more. The corners of everyone's eyes twitched. Didn't you just say you were rejecting our gifts? How is this a rejection of us giving you too little? You greedy little girl. Yun Chujio looked at the pile of gifts that were growing rapidly in her storage ring. Her heart was very still but her eyelashes bloomed with joy. He seems I've made a small fortune again. How satisfying. Yun Chujio released the high-grade demonic beasts from the spirit beast bag and asked for their wishes. Most of them were willing to let Yun Chujio send them to a suitable location. A small portion of them directly jumped into the valley nearby. Everyone discussed what to do next for a moment. In the past few days, their consumption of spiritual power and physical strength was too severe. They decided to rest there for 2 days before returning to their respective sections. With everyone gathered together, they could take turns being on guard. This was also safer to avoid any accidents. Right now, these people were left with less than a tenth of their spiritual energy. If they went off alone and encountered people from the godly devil hall, they were as good as dead. Yun Chujio and Di Baiming fared better. After all, they only acted at the last moment. Although Yun Chujio had refined a lot of pills, she was too monstrous. She was fine. The next morning she was already alive and kicking and took the initiative to request to be on guard duty. Those cultivators wished that they could sleep for 3 days and 3 nights. Prince Charming, Brother Wuji, I think the time for a confrontation with the godly devil hall is approaching. However, their secret technique is too strange. If we can't break the secret teleportation technique, it will be really difficult for us to finish them off. Think about it. If they can't beat us, they just run. We will be too passive. Yun Chujio held a spirit fruit in her hand as she leaned back on the recliner and said with a frown. That's right. Moreover, we have only seen 2 secret techniques of the red spider lily. Their power is so astonishing. Perhaps there are other secret techniques. I'm afraid it won't be easy to eliminate the godly devil hall. Di Baiming frowned. This godly devil hall is too strange. Moreover, I'm afraid we've only seen the tip of the iceberg. Xue Wuji sighed. Little Sister Jiao, it's a pity that our cultivators from the Tianyuan continent are not only limited in spiritual power but also punished by heaven for killing people. Even if we want to help you, there is a limit. Prince Charming, Brother Wuji, evil cannot prevail over good. Moreover, since the godly devil hall has been lurking in the dark, it means that they must have a weakness. Either they are short-handed or the master is also limited in his spiritual power. In short, the cultivators of the Azure Mystic Continent have the geographical advantage and we will win sooner or later. Yun Chujia's tone was firm, her eyes shone with confidence. Little Sister Jiao, I admire your optimistic personality. How do you do it? Shui Wuji asked curiously. It's very simple. Brother Wuji, have you heard of a saying? Shui Wuji picked up a teacup and asked, what is it? Yun Chujio said slowly, a tree without skin will die without a doubt. A man with thick skin is invincible in the world. Shui Wuji, who was drinking tea, immediately spat it out. Fortunately, Yun Chujio reacted quickly and jumped to the side. Otherwise, she would have bathed in tea. Chapter 894. The Fall of the Three Sects. Little Sister Jiao, I'm sorry. I didn't expect you to say that. I'm surprised, but what you said makes sense. I've always thought about how much is face worth. It's only true if you get something in return, Shui Wuji said with a smile. Brother Wuji, you're right. Let others say what they want to say. It's not like they have a lot to offer anyway. When you're much stronger than them, they'll naturally shut up. Just like before, many people said that I'm trash, I'm ugly, and so on. I didn't even bother to pay attention to them because I know that a talented city-toppling fairy like me will shine sooner or later. Yun Chujio said proudly. And Feng stood at the side, the corners of his eyes slightly twitching. Miss Jiao, I admit that what you said is true, but is it really good for you to praise yourself like this? At that moment, the voice transmission talisman in Feng's storage ring started to vibrate. After Feng used his divine sense to read the message, his face instantly turned pale. Your Majesty, Miss Jiao. Something happened. The leader of the Heavenly Gate sect, Du Gai, had joined the Godly Devil Hall. The Godly Devil Hall has started to attack the other three great sects with the Heavenly Gate sect as its base. The Bixiao Palace and the Skyblade sect have been taken over by the Godly Devil Hall because a spy was working for them. The survivors have all gathered at the Spirit Radiance sect, which was barely able to maintain itself with the protection of the sect's great array. In addition, the Godly Devil Hall has captured all the civilians in the cities near the four great sections. They probably want to set up an evil array. Although the Yun Mansion is protected by the secret guards and the Thunder Sect's people, and Feng could not continue. Yun Chujia's heart froze. But what? But just last night, a mysterious woman from the Godly Devil Hall came. Her spiritual power was extremely high, and she used the secret technique of the Red Spider Lily to capture Old Master Yun. She also left a message saying that she will meet you in front of the Spirit Radiance sect's main gate in half a month and asks you to exchange his life for your own. Yun Chujia's head buzzed. She recalled what Yun Xiaotian had said before and she felt extremely regretful. She should have let her grandfather and the others enter the Spirit Radiance sect at that time. Even though the secret guards and the Thunder Sect's people had high spiritual power, the secret techniques of the Godly Devil Hall were too unpredictable, and it was simply impossible to guard against them. Little Jiao, you don't have to worry too much. Since they used Old Master Yun to threaten you, they won't do anything to Old Master Yun for the time being. Di Baiming comforted her. That's right, little sister, little Jiao. There's still me. At most, you'll be struck by a few heavenly lightning bolts. Big brother can handle it. Shui Wuji saw Yun Chujia's small face filled with self-blame and worry and his heart ached. Prince Charming, Brother Wuji, you don't have to worry about me. Let's return immediately. The Godly Devil Hall? I don't care if it's a god or a devil. If it dares to provoke my family, I'll send them to hell. Yun Chujia's small face was full of determination. There seemed to be two small flames burning in her eyes. If you dare to touch my grandfather, I will destroy you. After Yun Chujia woke everyone up, she told them what had happened. Everyone immediately became confused. What? The Bixiao Palace and the Skyblade sect were both conquered? Those are sects with 10,000 years of history. How could they be conquered just like that? The members of the Heavenly Gate sect were especially confused. They could not believe their ears. The entirety of the Heavenly Gate sect had joined the Godly Devil Hall. How was this possible? Even if Du Gai couldn't figure it out, weren't there other elders? They just let Du Gai do whatever he wanted. Chapter 895. I am Little Ancestor Yun of the Spirit Radiance Sect. Everyone, calm down and listen to me for a moment. Yun Chujio leaped onto a huge rock and shouted at everyone. At that moment, Yun Chujio was someone everyone highly looked up to. Hearing her words, everyone's discussion gradually quieted down, and they all looked towards Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio did not speak immediately. Instead, she released all the demonic beasts in the spirit beast pouch. Then she said with a cold expression, "We once discovered an evil formation of the godly devil hall in Longping Mountain. Its methods were cruel and the scene was so horrific that it made one's hair stand on end. Tens of thousands of demonic beasts were chained to the ground or suspended in the air. Their blood and vitality flowed into the evil formation of the godly devil hall, and that evil formation was used to search for the eye of the earth. Now that the godly devil hall had captured the citizens of several cities, it will probably be used for the evil formation again. The godly devil hall's ultimate goal is this: to find the eye of the earth and then absorb all the chi in the eye of the earth. At that time, our azure mystic continent would then become a secular land without any spiritual chi. At that time, whether it was humans or demon beasts, the path of longevity would be lost. The godly devil hall is not my enemy alone, nor is it just the enemy of the four great sections. They are the enemies of the entire azure mystic continent. It was true that the godly devil hall had a mysterious background and even possessed a strange secret technique of the red spider lily. However, I, Yun Chujio, firmly believe in one truth, that evil cannot prevail over good. As long as we are united, we can definitely drive this so-called godly devil hall out of the azure mystic continent or destroy completely it. Everyone, whether it was for our own great path of immortality, or the lives of our relatives, friends and future generations, we only have one choice now, and that is to unite as one. Regardless of whether we are humans or demonic beasts, regardless of whether we are men, women or young, we must all contribute our strength to protect our home. Why is there still hot blood flowing in our bodies? Because that is our inextinguishable fighting spirit. Even the ancient enchantment could not hold us, and even the shackles of the Tian Dao could not make us lose our desire to obtain immortality. What else can stop us from protecting our home? Now, the godly devil hall forces have already begun moving to make their evil plan come true. We must eliminate them before they completely gain a foothold and return the azure mystic continent to a bright and peaceful state, instead of living under the shadow of death forever. I, Yun Chujio, swear on my life that I will not rest until the godly devil hall is destroyed. If everyone trusts me, then follow me back to the Spirit Radiance sect and destroy the godly devil hall in one fell swoop after meeting up with the survivors. In addition, my other identity has never been announced. I am not the personal disciple of Elder Sun Buzhong of the Spirit Radiance sect. I am the personal disciple of Patriarch Ling Hua of the Spirit Radiance sect, which is also the first generation of disciples of the Spirit Radiance sect. Xianyuan Chongkong and the others call me Little Ancestor Yun. This is also the reason why my position in the Spirit Radiance sect is so special. It is also the reason why I would rather risk my life to save all of you. It is because I have a responsibility and a mission on my shoulders. Now I will take this 9th Heaven Silver Dragon Windfire Rod that my master left me and lead all of you back to the Spirit Radiance sect. After everyone and the beasts heard Yun Chujio's words, they immediately felt the blood in their bodies boil. There was only one thought in their minds, and that was to destroy the godly devil hall. They would not let them destroy the azure mystic continent. The disciples of the Spirit Radiance sect knelt on the ground. The disciples of the Spirit Radiance sect greet Little Ancestor Yun. Chapter 896. Submission. These elders of the Spirit Radiance sect actually felt that having such a small ancestor was too embarrassing. At that moment they were incomparably grateful that they had won in Yun Chujio. Not only had she saved the Spirit Radiance sect from danger several times, but now that the azure mystic continent was in danger, she was the one to step forward. Just as Yun Chujio had said back then, there would come a day when the Spirit Radiance sect would be proud of her. At that moment, not only was she the pride of our Spirit Radiance sect, but she was also the pride of the entire azure mystic continent. The young girl on the tall rock no longer had her usual cheeky personality. Instead, she exuded an awe-inspiring aura, a conviction that she would win, causing people to involuntarily submit to her and trust her. The numerous demon beasts raised their heads and roared, kneeling in front of her to represent their submission. It was true that they were high-level demon beasts, and some of them had even higher spiritual power than Yunchujio. However, at that moment they were willing to follow this young girl, fighting side by side with the humans to protect their home. Many cultivators were affected by the majestic atmosphere and could not help but kneel. At that moment, in their eyes, they had already forgotten about Yunchujio's age. Saving their lives twice, having a shocking talent for cultivation, unparalleled intelligence, and being the personal disciple of Patriarch Linghua were enough to make up for the lack of age. They were willing to accept the young girl's command, and they were also extremely confident that she would lead them to take back their home. Di Baiming stood at the side and looked at the girl who was like the god of war. His heart was filled with tenderness and pride. He had never seen little Jiu like this before, but it made him even more moved. It made him willing to protect her. Shui Wuji's heart was also filled with awe. He felt like his heart was about to stop beating. How could he not be moved by such a girl? Secret Agent Huahua looked at her young master's infatuation and sighed inwardly. That's right, how could such a woman not move his heart? Her beautiful appearance would fade with time, but this boldness, this calmness, and this sense of responsibility transcended both age and gender. As time passed, the young master would probably be unable to extricate himself. And Feng was also deeply moved. He could only say that his young master had a unique eye. Thinking back to that little black trash back then, who would have thought that in less than 3 years she would bloom with such brilliance? If the palace mistress saw this scene unfold, would she change her opinion of the 9th Miss? Although the 9th Miss was still unable to compare with the other young ladies of the Tianyuan continent, she would sooner or later become the most dazzling existence in the Tianyuan continent. No one was more suitable than her to stand beside His Excellency. Yunchujio looked at the cultivators and demonic beasts kneeling on the ground, and with a firm expression she said, "Everyone, thank you for your trust in me, Yunchujio. As long as you give me time, I will definitely give you a bright future. Now those who heard my name stand by my right hand. I have other arrangements for you. The rest of you stand by." Seeing Yunchujio's calmness and maturity that did not match her age, everyone felt even more confident in their hearts and nodded in agreement. Spirit Radiant Sex Zhou Zhandong Zhao Rui Chao Bin He Hongwen. Heavenly Gate Sex Zhang Ling Bai Mu Yen Gu Feng Chu Yufeng. Skyblade Sex Shi Yen Yu Zhanli Sidutang Yu Ling Hao. Bixiao Palaces Shangguan Yu by Muying Lu Yu Shuang Zhao Yuping. 7-Star Sword Sex by Qin Luo Wenbao. Flying Tiger Villas Yu Hongwen. Yunchujio read out the names of over 100 people in one breath. Everyone was shocked. How did Yunchujio know the names of these people? It was fine if she knew those from the Spirit Radiance sect, but a large majority of the names were not. How did she know the names of the others, especially the itinerant cultivators? Chapter 897. A proclamation of battle. The people that Yunchujio called out were the last batch of cultivators who voluntarily stayed behind with her group. Yunchujio took note of their names and remembered them after hearing them once. The hundreds of people whose names were called out were ushered to the side by Yunchujio. After Yunchujio activated an isolation array, she said to everyone, "Everyone, the reason why I called out your names is firstly because your spiritual power is among the best among the people here. Secondly, after a period of observation, I completely trust your character. Therefore, I am more assured when I will leave the next task to you." Before Yunchujio mentioned the task, she first put on a high hat for everyone. Everyone immediately felt a sense of honor and pride, and they straightened their backs. 5 of you will form a group. Each group will be responsible for an area. You have 2 missions. The first is to investigate the other strongholds of the Godly Devil Hall. The second is to expose the Godly Devil Hall's evils to the public. I will write a proclamation of battle later. After you post it up everywhere and make the people of the Godly Devil Hall seem like street rats. This way someone will report their whereabouts the minute they show up. Let them have no place to hide in the Azure Mystic Continent. Don't feel regretful for not participating in the battle with the Godly Devil Hall. What you will do is as important as the battle. If complete these 2 tasks well, you will cut off the Godly Devil Hall's escape route, giving them no chance to make a comeback in the future. Otherwise, even if we defeat them now, they will use secret arts to escape and secretly rebuild their forces. Therefore, the task given to you is very important. You must do your best. Yun Chujia's expression was solemn, and the aura emanating from her body made people shudder in fear. No one dared to raise any objections. Firstly, they were intimidated by Yun Chujia's aura. Secondly, what Yun Chujio said was reasonable. They had to cut off the godly devil hall's escape route. Otherwise, even if they destroyed them now, they would still strike again in the future. Seeing that no one had any objections, Yun Chujio separated them into groups and then withdrew the isolation array. Yun Chujio took out a pen and paper from her storage ring and wrote a proclamation of battle. The basic content was similar to what she had said previously. After she finished writing, she saw her own crooked handwriting and felt that she really couldn't bring herself to do it, hence she activated the isolation array. Prince Charming, help me copy it in fancier handwriting. The corner of D. Biming's eyes twitched, but he still helped Yun Chujio copy the proclamation. Yun Chujio saw the article that D. Biming wrote and then looked at her own. She decisively destroyed the one that she wrote. The difference was too fucking embarrassing. Yun Chujio shamelessly handed the article that D. Biming wrote to everyone. Here, I just finished writing this. You guys take it and copy it. After everyone took the paper and read it, they praised it again and again. The content was not mentioned for the time being, but the writing was too good. The ink was like a hook. Vigorous and powerful. The momentum was magnificent, like a flood dragon coming out of the water. Yun Chujio neither admitted nor denied that it was her handiwork. She just smiled and did not say anything. She thought to herself, there's no difference between me and the pretty boy. What's his is mine and what's mine is his. Therefore, praising me and praising him are all the same. After the arrangements were made, Yun Chujio waved her hands and everyone split into their respective groups and boarded several flying spirit tools. A portion of them went on missions while the majority of them followed Yun Chujio back to the Spirit Radiance sect. When they were still 3 days away from the Spirit Radiance sect, everyone received another piece of bad news. The Spirit Radiance sect's grand array had been broken, and both sides were embroiled in a chaotic battle. Everyone turned pale from fright. The Spirit Radiance sect's grand array was the strongest among the 4 great sections. How could it be broken by the godly devil hall? Chapter 898. Traitors. At that moment, a chaotic battle was being fought at the front gates of the Spirit Radiance sect. As most of the elders of the 4 great sects had gone to the Spirit Herb Valley, the majority who remained behind were disciples. Fortunately, the Spirit Cultivator disciples that Yun Chujio had saved a few days ago had already returned to the sect. Otherwise, they would not have been a match for the godly devil hall. On the contrary, the spirit energy of the people from the godly devil hall was much higher. Nearly a third of them were at the level of Spirit Emperor, so their strength was already superior on paper. Shenyuan Chongkong, I advise you to join our godly devil hall if you know what's good for you. If you resist stubbornly, the Spirit Radiance sect will end up like the Bixiao Palace and the Skyblade sect, Du Gai shouted arrogantly. Master Shenyuan sneered, Du Gai, although I used to have a lot of complaints about you in the past, it's still a competition between sects after all. I thought that you knew how to tell right from wrong. I didn't expect that you were actually a spy from the godly devil hall. No wonder the godly devil hall knows about our every move. So it was you who sold us out. What's right and wrong? Humph. What are we cultivating for? Isn't it for the great Tao of immortality? I'm only at the 6th level of the Spirit Emperor realm. I might not have the chance to reach the peak of the 9th level of the Spirit Emperor realm in my lifetime. However, after taking the medicine given by the Lord, I reached the peak of the 7th level of the Spirit Emperor realm in just a few months. My ascension is just around the corner. Moreover, the Lord has promised us that as long as we find the eye of the earth, we will head to the land of bliss. The spiritual energy there is 100 times denser than here. We will be able to live forever without any effort. Since that's the case, why don't I choose to submit to the Lord? Shenyuan Chongkong, a wise man submits to circumstances. This is your last chance. If you continue to be stubborn, not only will you die, but all your disciples will also die. Your Spirit Radiance sect will also be razed to the ground. Du Gai said sinisterly. Du Gai, for your own selfish reasons, are you going to just stand by and watch the lives of the people be destroyed? Recently you've captured several cities' citizens as sacrifices to the evil array. That is inhumane. Inhumane? Heaven and earth are heartless and treat all living things as dogs. What's the difference between humans and demonic beast? It's their honor to be able to contribute a little to their master. Including you. If you're captured, you'll all become the source of power for the evil array. Ha! Du Gai laughed sinisterly. His spiritual power level was one level higher than Master Xuanyuan's. He was very proud that his victory was imminent. You have gone mad. Master Xuanyuan's face was livid with anger. He never thought that Du Gai would say such heartless words. Gone mad? You are the one who does not know the situation. Your disciples are much more sensible than you. If it weren't for their help, how would we be able to break through your defensive formation? The veins on Master Xuanyuan's forehead bulged. When he recalled how the array had been broken, he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Originally, after the members of the Skyblade sect, Bishao Palace, and a portion of the disciples of the Heavenly Gates sect who had escaped entered the Spirit Radiance sect, Master Xianyuan had activated the protective array. It would not be a problem for him to keep it up for a while. He never expected that the Bai siblings and Yun Chushan would take the opportunity to inspect the array core and tamper with the array disk. Moreover, Elder Chu, who was the best at array formations in the Spirit Radiance sect, was not around. Thus no one noticed the flaw. When the array was broken, the two sides started fighting. Only then did they realize that they were the ones who had tampered with it. No wonder the three of them had a rapid increase in their spiritual power. It was from consuming the godly Devil Hall's medicinal pills. Chapter 899. Qing Si to the rescue. Du Gai and Master Xianyuan were engaged in a pitched battle. On the other end, the Bai siblings and Yun Chushan were seen chasing after the Yun siblings. Bai Moyu was currently at the 9th level of the Spiritual Emperor realm. Bai Moru and Yun Chushan were both at the 8th level of the Spiritual Master realm, while the Yun siblings were only at the 5th level of the Spiritual Master realm. As a result, they were both defeated very quickly. Yun Chushan, you actually betrayed the Spirit Radiance sect. You are not worthy to be a member of the Yun family. Our Yun family does not have scum like you. You are an honorless dog. Yun Chuki cursed angrily. Yun Chushan had a face full of ridicule. A person goes where the grass is greener. What's wrong with what I'm doing? It's you guys who let me down. What's so great about Yun Chujio? Whether it's the family head, you guys, or those idiots from the Spirit Radiance sect, they all treat her like a living treasure. I'll show you all who has the last laugh. Since you all looked down on our second branch, I'll let you all die. From now on, the Yun family will belong to my grandfather. Yun Chushan, don't you feel guilty saying that? As the family head, what did my grandfather ever do to your branch? Whether it's the distribution of money or the exchanging of favors, what has he ever done to you? If he looked down on you, would he let you come with us to the Spirit Radiance sect? Moreover, search your conscience. At what time didn't you find trouble with little Gio? Has little Gio ever been calculative with you? With little Gio's ability, it would be easy for her to kill you. I didn't expect her to care so much about family ties, but you turned out to be more of an ingrate. Yun Chu was so angry that her entire body trembled. The feeling of being betrayed by her family was really hard to accept. In the past, she only thought that she was petty and selfish, but she did not expect her to be so inhumane. Bai Moyu and Bai Moru looked at the internal strife in the Yun family, and their faces revealed a mocking expression. Although they no longer looked at the little power in Yi City, they were still very happy to see the Yun families fall from grace. They would first kill the ones here. After that, they would kill that old bastard Yun Xiaotian. Then the Yun family would be completely wiped out. As for Yun Chujio, she would die sooner or later. Senior sister Bai, stop talking nonsense with them. Let's kill them. Bai Moru took the lead and attacked Yun Chu. This bitch is getting more and more outstanding as she grows up. I have long wanted to make her lose face. Although the Yun siblings had the advantage in numbers, the difference in spiritual power was too great. They were no match for the Bai siblings and Yun Chushan. Very soon they were easily defeated and on the brink of death. Seeing this, Feng Ming and the other two wanted to come over to help. However, they were tied down by their own opponents and had no way to escape. At that moment, Qing Si jumped over and attacked Bai Moyu. Bai Moyu snorted coldly. You're only at the 5th level of the spirit cultivator realm. You overestimate yourself. Since you want to die so badly, it'll grant you your wish. What Bai Moyu never expected was that Qingxi actually took out a talisman. After activating it, a wave of thick smoke rose into the air. While everyone's vision was affected, Qingxi took advantage of that opening and saved the Yun siblings with Feng Ming. We're insignificant to the battle here. Let's go find little Jiu. Only she can turn the tide. Qingxi changed her from her previous taciturn tone and said firmly, then she summoned a jet-black flying spirit tool and beckoned everyone up. The Yun siblings and Feng Ming were very surprised. Usually they did not see Qingxi reveal herself. They did not expect that not only did she have a flying spirit tool, but a very high-end one too at that. It must be very valuable. Chapter 900. Qingxi's unique flying spirit tool. Although Feng Ming and the others were surprised, they knew that this was not the time to ask questions. Qingxi was right. Finding little Jiu was the key now. They did not know if little Jiu had managed to save the cultivators from the East Valley. If she had saved them all, then it would be enough to fight the Godly Devil Hall. Because the Spirit Radiant sect was surrounded by the people from the Godly Devil Hall, Beiming's secret guards could not get close. Moreover, they had to protect the remaining people from the Yun residents, so they did not dare to show themselves rashly. Therefore, the people from the Spirit Radiant sect did not know that Yun Chujie was already on the way back. Qingxi and the others got on their flying spirit tools and flew in the direction of the Elixir Valley. At that moment, the thick smoke had dispersed. The Bai siblings and Yun Chushan immediately discovered that the Yun siblings had fled on their flying spirit tools. A woman wearing a purple mask walked up to them and shouted angrily, "Trash! Why aren't you going after them?" "Yes. Cousin Yenren, Lord Purple Mask." Bai Moyu had just finished speaking when he changed his words under the woman's cold gaze. Under the pressure, cold sweat broke out on his forehead. Su Yenran waved her hand and a gold-masked man walked over. "Fan Jin, bring a few people and the 3 of them to capture the people on the flying spirit tool. If that doesn't work, bring back their corpses. Those people are people that bitch Yun Chujie cares about. I want her to watch them die for her." "Yes, Lord." Fan Jin summoned his flying spirit tool and led 5 silver-masked men, Bai Moyu, and the others to board the flying spirit tool and quickly chased after Qingxi and the others. Fan Jin's flying spirit tool was also a high-end one in addition to his superb spiritual power. He soon caught up with the flying spirit tools Qingxi and the others were on. Fan Jin's lips curled into a sneer. "Attack them from the porthole and try to force them to land, then capture them alive. That bitch Yun Chujie made me suffer last time. When I catch these people, I will kill them in front of that bitch." The 5 silver-masked men and Bai Moyu attacked the flying spirit tool in front of them from the porthole. What they did not expect was that the flying spirit tool not only had a protective array but also a high-level one, so the attack did not destroy it. Fan Jin frowned. "Keep attacking. Sooner or later its protective array will be broken." Suddenly, several wind blades shot out from the tail of the flying spirit tool in front of him, heading straight for Fan Jin's flying spirit tool. Fan Jin did not expect that there would be a flying spirit tool with the ability to attack in this low-level world. In a moment of carelessness, his flying spirit tool was hit by the wind blades. The flying spirit tool trembled a few times. Although it was not seriously damaged, it still slowed down. The flying spirit tool in front of them instantly pulled away from the commotion. "Interesting. Looks like we're going to catch an unexpected big fish. Continue attacking but keep them alive, especially that little girl with the flying spirit tool." Fan Jin's eyes revealed a look of greed. That little girl was no simpleton. Perhaps she would be able to get an unexpected surprise. The distance between the 2 flying spirit tools changed constantly. Whenever they were about to catch up, Qingxi would have her flying spirit tool attack. That way they would once again pull away and gain some distance. However, after a day, Qingxi frowned and said, "My flying spirit tool won't be able to last much longer. We can either find a place to land or switch to another flying spirit tool." Chapter 901. Shixian's feelings. Junior sister Qingxi, the 3 of us have flying spirit tools. Although they are not as high-end as yours, it's better than nothing. You attack them while we find a place to land. Then we'll switch to my flying spirit tool, Feng Ming said. Okay. Qingxi took the opportunity and attacked Fan Zhen's flying spirit tool with several wind blades. Then she flew for some distance and found a large clearing. After that, Qingxi landed the flying spirit tool on the ground. Before Feng Ming could call out his flying spirit tool, Fan Zhen and the others arrived. It turned out that after they saw right through Qingxi's intention, they rode on their swords and chased after her. Humph. I advise you not to struggle while on your last legs. Our strength is far greater than yours. Don't worry, I won't take your lives for the time being. Why don't you obediently surrender? Fan Zhen said arrogantly. Bah. In your dreams. You ugly freak who has no face to see others. Yun Chuki's venomous tongue was not that much weaker than Yun Chuji's. You're courting death. Fan Zhen thrust a palm at Yun Chuki. Yun Chuki's injuries were already extensive, so she was in no position to dodge. She could only close her eyes and await her death. She never imagined that she would be pushed away by someone. Then she heard a muffled groan. Yun Chuki opened her eyes and saw that it was Shi Xian who had blocked the palm strike for her. He was sent flying over 100 feet away and spat out a mouthful of blood. Senior brother Shi Xian. Yun Chuki never expected that Shi Xian would actually block the palm strike for her. She staggered over and hurriedly stuffed the heaven-grade blood coagulation pill that Yun Chujio had given her into Shi Xian's mouth. Shi Xian's life hung by a thread. Thanks to the heaven-grade blood coagulation pill, he was able to keep his life. However, his injuries were still severe. Senior brother Shi Xian, why did you take the palm strike for me? Are you stupid? Yun Chuki did not cry, but her eyes were red. Shi Xian did not speak. He only smiled at Yun Chuki, but his hand held Yun Chuki's. If Yun Chuki still did not understand Shi Xian's intentions, she would have been truly dumbfounded. Her heart was filled with a bittersweet feeling. If it were not for this moment, she would have been bashful and happy. However, they were about to be sent to the underworld together despite not yet having the chance to express their true feelings. At that moment, Feng Ming and the others had already engaged in battle with Fan Zhen and the others. Yun Chuki stuffed a few pills into Shi Xian's hands and the two of them gritted their teeth and joined the battle. The difference in strength between the two sides was huge. Very soon Qingxi and the others were all knocked to the ground. This was because Fan Zhen wanted to capture them alive. Otherwise they would have died long ago. Looking at the people lying on the ground that no longer had the strength to fight back, Bai Moru walked in front of Yun Chu and gave her a few tight slaps. Bitch. You used this vixen's face to seduce my admirer. How shameless. I'll mutilate your face right now. Let's see what else you can use to seduce people. Fan Zhen knew about Bai Moru and Su Yanren's relationship, so he turned a blind eye. As long as they did not kill her, it was fine as long as she was only toying with them. Bai Moru took out a dagger and sneered as she slashed at Yun Chua's face. After thinking for a moment, she put the dagger away. It's a waste to just cut them up like that. These 3 bitches are your reward. You guys go play with them in the forest first. When you're done, I'll destroy their faces. The silver-masked men immediately revealed lewd smiles. They had been besieging the Spirit Radiance sect for the past few days and did not have any time for play. These 3 girls were each more beautiful than the other and they were all virgins. Things could not turn out better for them. Chapter 902. Courting death. Yun Chuzi and the others wanted to go forward to stop them, but unfortunately, they were all heavily injured and were no match for the 5 silver-masked men. They were kicked to the ground and Yun Chu and the other 2 were dragged by the silver-masked men into the small forest nearby. Yazi, Shi Xian and the others' eyes were bloodshot, but there was no way to stop them. Yun Chushan. If you have any conscience at all, give us a quick death. Otherwise, I will not let you off even if I become a ghost. Yun Chu shouted at the top of her lungs. Yun Chushan snorted coldly. You brought this on yourselves, what does it have to do with me? You should just enjoy it wholeheartedly. Maybe if you serve the silver-masked lord well, you can still keep your life. 5th sister, her heart is utterly black. What's the point of begging her? I'll leave first, we'll still be sisters in the next life. Yun Chuki was about to bite her tongue and commit suicide. You want to die? You can die after I'm done with you. I don't want to play with dead wood. The silver-masked man pinned down Yun Chuki. She couldn't even speak, let alone bite her tongue and commit suicide. The other two silver-masked men also pinned down Yunchu and Qingxi as they dragged them into the forest with lewd smiles. Yunchuzi and the others struggled to get up to stop them, but they were once again kicked to the ground by Moyu and the others. Moyu smiled sinisterly and said, Yunchuzi, hasn't your Yun family always been against our Bai family? Do you think that you can turn the tables with Yunchujio? That's just a delusion. Your Yun family will soon cease to exist, and our Bai family will be going to the land of bliss with our master Ha. Bai Moyu. Little Jio won't let you off. Little Jio will avenge us. Yunchuzi once again resented his own incompetence. Seeing that his sister was about to be trampled on by beasts, he was helpless. Bai Moyu laughed wildly. Yunchujio? She has repeatedly ruined our master's plans. Do you think she can survive? However, before she dies, Yanren's sister will definitely take good care of her. Yunchu and the others are suffering the same treatment as Yunchujio in the future. When that time comes, she will be begging for death. Just as Bai Moyu was spouting nonsense, he heard someone in the air say, "Kill them all. Leave none alive." Bai Moyu looked up and saw several flying spirit tools hovering in the air. There were hundreds of high-level cultivators riding their swords arriving. The one in front was a beautiful girl with a cold, murderous aura that made people tremble in fear. Bai Moyu didn't recognize the girl for a moment. Bai Moru, who was next to him, shouted, "Yunchujio? Impossible. How did that bitch Yunchujio become so beautiful?" Fanjin thought to himself, what an idiot. At that time he actually had the heart to care about looks. With so many people here, they were probably all cultivators trapped in the East Valley. It was better for him to leave while he could, or else he would not make it out alive. When Fanjin thought of this, he bit his index finger and was about to use the red spider lily secret art to escape. He never expected that Yunchuzi and the others, who were already unable to fight back, would suddenly regain their strength when they saw Yunchujio coming. The few of them jumped forward desperately and grabbed onto Fanjin's legs. Fanjin's secret art was suddenly interrupted, and in a rage, threw a wind blade toward Yunchuzi and the others behind him. An ice dragon blocked Fanjin's spiritual power attack, then swung its tail and slapped Fanjin several feet away. Fanjin stood firm and wanted to use the secret art again, but there was no chance. Di Baiming and Shui Wuji's spiritual power attacks hit him like a storm, not giving him any chance to breathe. How could he even retaliate? After a few moments he was imprisoned. Shui Wuji took out the poison from Fanjin's mouth, then took out his sword and cut the tendons on both his hands and feet. He smiled evilly. "Let's see how you use the so-called secret technique this time. You dare to touch my little sister's family? You're done for this time." Chapter 903. Su Yanren's secret. At that moment, Bai Moyu and the other two, as well as the 5 silver-masked men, had all been taken down. Yunchujio first took out a pill to save Yunchuzi and the others. Seeing that their lives were not in serious danger, she was relieved. If they were a moment too late, the consequences would be unimaginable. It seemed that she had to think of a way to improve their constitutions. Otherwise, even if they cultivated diligently, there was a limit to what they could achieve. 5th sister, 7th sister, and Qingxi, I'll leave these people to you to deal with. You can do whatever you want with them. Don't worry, with us here they won't be able to escape even if they have wings. Yunchujio curled the corners of her lips and said, "Yunchujio, you can't kill us. If you kill us, Yun Xiaodong will be as well." Bai Moru shouted, "Grandfather, of course I'll save him. You're just a few lackeys, you don't have the right to negotiate with me. Cousin Yanran is the highest-level purple-masked emissary in the Godly Devil Hall. If you kill us, she won't let you off." Su Yanran? Oh, no wonder. I was wondering who had such a great enmity towards me and wanted to kill me time and time again. So it was her. Bai Moru, do you think Su Yanran would take you seriously? Your value was gone the moment the Spirit Radiant Sect's grand array was broken. 5th sister, do it. Yunchu slapped Bai Moru several times. Bai Moru, as a woman I would never have used those despicable methods on you. Accept your death. Yunchu raised her sword and slashed downwards at Bai Moru. Seeing this, Bai Moyu begged loudly, "Little Jiu, for the sake of our past friendship, please spare me. I'll tell you everything I know." When Di Baiming heard the words past friendship, the chill on his body suddenly intensified. And Feng, who was beside him, shivered. He thought to himself, this Bai Moyu had just dug his grave. If you had not mentioned that sentence, perhaps you would have died a slower death. If you mentioned it, if you do not say anything about Miss Jiu, our esteemed lord will smack you to death. Past friendship? White scum, how can you be so thick-skinned? Ask yourself, have you ever shown me any kindness? Besides, what could you possibly know? Su Yanran is just another person you treated as a chess piece. How would you know anything else? No. I know something. I know cousin Yanran's big secret. As long as you swear, if I tell you, you will let me go, and I'll tell you what it is. Bai Moyu saw that the silver-masked men were killed by Yun Chuzi and the others, and he was scared to death. Oh. Big secret? I am somewhat interested. Okay, I swear if you tell me this secret, I will let you go. If I don't let you go, I will hit you with 5 lightning bolts from the sky. Yun Chujio said indifferently. Bai Moyu had never seen Yun Chujio's abnormal situation where she was not afraid of being struck by lightning. In the eyes of cultivators, oaths were very solemn and effective, so he believed it to be true. Therefore he said, Cousin Yanran is not my aunt's biological flesh and blood. My aunt's biological daughter was stillborn. Coincidentally, a baby girl appeared in the bedroom. My aunt felt that this was heaven's compensation to her, so she did not investigate cousin Yanran's background and directly raised her as her biological daughter. Yun Chujio touched her chin. Oh, this was interesting. She did not expect Su Yanran's background to be so complicated. However, it was also true. If she was just an ordinary girl, how could she gain the appreciation of the master and become the purple-masked emissary? Chapter 904. The soul-searching technique. Go on. I'm not too sure about what happened after that. 3 years ago, it seemed that the master sent someone to find cousin Yanran. Then cousin Yanran entered the Heavenly Gate sect and her powers suddenly grew. She regularly gave me some pills that would increase my spiritual power, asking me to recruit several accomplices. A few days ago, when we were patrolling the array core, we acted according to cousin Yanran's instructions and tampered with the array disk. The next day, the Spirit Radiance sect's protective array was broken. I've told you everything I know. Let me go. Bai Moyu thought to himself. As long as I can escape sooner or later, kill this slut and take revenge. Let you go? In your dreams. Yun Chujio took out a large kitchen knife and pointed it at Bai Moyu's neck. Yun Chujio. You can't kill me. Aren't you afraid of breaking your oath and being struck by lightning? You'll be struck to death by lightning. Bai Moyu shouted at the top of his voice. The onlookers burst into laughter. This idiot. Little ancestor Yun struck to death by lightning? It was more like the lightning would be angered to death by her. I'm sorry, Bai Moyu. The thing I'm least afraid of is lightning. Do you know why there's always the sound of lightning at the back of the mountain? It's from them striking me repeatedly. That's why I eagerly welcome lightning strikes, you idiot. Yun Chujio said with a smile. Bai Moyu said in fear, Impossible, impossible. No one is unafraid of lightning. You must be lying to me. Quickly let me go or else you will suffer. Bai Moyu's words came to an abrupt end. Yun Chujio's large kitchen knife gently brushed past his neck, and Bai Moyu fell to the ground with a thud. Seeing that the Bai siblings had been killed, Yun Chushan cried bitterly and said, Little Jiu, I was wrong. Third sister was wrong. Please spare me. For the sake of our many years of friendship as sisters, please spare me. I will change my ways and become a new person. Fifth sister, seventh sister, Qingxi. Do you think we should spare her? Yun Chujio looked at Yun Chushan, who was crying bitterly with a hint of mockery. Spare her? When we were about to be raped, she refused to kill us even when we begged her. Why should we listen to what she says? She is no longer a member of our Yun family. It's not enough for such an ingrate to die 10,000 times. Little Jiu, if you can't do it, I will. Yun Chuki said through gritted teeth. When Yun Chushan saw that there was no chance of survival, her expression became ferocious. Don't be complacent. Even if I die, you won't be able to win. The godly devil hall is not something you can contend with. Sooner or later, all of you will go to hell. The Lord will not forgive you. Yun Chushan, you don't have to worry about us. That dog shit Lord will accompany you sooner or later. Die. Yun Chujio flipped her hand with her kitchen knife and Yun Chushan fell to the ground bleeding. Yun Chujio looked at Fan Zhen and then said to Di Biming, "Prince Charming, do you know how to use the soul-searching technique? With such a stubborn person we won't be able to get anything out of him even if we interrogate him. We might as well just use the soul-searching technique." When Fan Zhen heard that the soul-searching technique was going to be used on him, his face immediately turned ashen. Once he used the soul-searching technique he would turn into a vegetable. Then what was the point of living? However, he could not move at all except for his eyes. There was nothing he could do even if he wanted to resist. He could only watch helplessly as Di Biming placed his hand on Fan Zhen's Baihui acupoint. After 15 minutes, Di Biming's hand left Fan Zhen's Baihui acupoint. Fan Zhen's eyes instantly became unfocused. It was obvious that he had become brain dead. Chapter 905. Subduing some demonic beasts. Prince Charming, how is it? Is there any useful information? Yun Chujio asked anxiously. The useful information is limited. Su Yenran was the one who passed all the instructions to him. He was only in charge of implementing them. He had never met the master before and was only in charge of the area in the Endless Sea. After the silver-masked man died the last time he was transferred here as a replacement. Di Biming said with a frown. He had thought that they had caught a big fish, but he did not expect that it was just a lackey. The godly devil hall was really careful in covering up their tracks. Is there any news about grandfather and the kidnapped commoners? Senior Yun has been escorted by Su Yenran all this time. Right now he is outside the Spirit Radiant Sect's mountain gate guarded by more than 10 golden-masked men. Those commoners are trapped in the mountain behind the Heavenly Gates sect being used as a blood source to support the evil formation. Yun Chujio thought for a moment and said, "If that's the case we will split into 2 groups. Everyone from the Heavenly Gates sect, you will lead a portion of your people to kill your way back to the Heavenly Gates sect. Right now the Heavenly Gates sect is relatively empty, and those disciples may not have truly submitted to the godly devil hall. They may have been coerced by Du Gai and Su Yenran. You should try to reason with them and think of a way to turn those disciples against them and save those commoners. It'll bring the remaining people to the Spirit Radiant sect." Everyone nodded in agreement and split into 2 groups. One group headed to the Heavenly Gates sect while the other group headed to the Spirit Radiant sect. When Yun Chujio passed by the demonic beast forest she thought for a moment and decided that it would be best to bring along some help just in case. Thus she used her spiritual sense to speak to the strange grass. "Strange grass, summon those high-level demonic beasts for me. I'm going to make use of them." The strange grass obediently did as she was told. The leaves curled up and emitted a scent that made the demonic beasts drool. "Everyone, you guys go ahead first. I will go down and subdue some more demonic beast." Yun Chujio shouted to the crowd through the porthole. Those people were dumbfounded. What did she mean by subjugating some more demonic beast? Those demonic beasts from the Elixir Valley had followed us to attack the godly devil hall because you had saved their lives. However, the demonic beasts in the demonic beast forest were wild and hard to tame. They had no interaction with you, so why would they listen to you? Moreover, the demon beast forest was vast. How would you find those high-level demon beasts? Even if you found 8 or 10 of them, what use would that be? However, since they had already made Yun Chujio the commander, they could only do as they were told and continue to rush to the Spirit Radiance sect at full speed. A day later they arrived in the sky above the Spirit Radiance sect. The ground was full of dead bodies. The Spirit Radiance sect's main gate had already been broken through. Elder Shao and the others' hearts tightened. Could it be that Master Shen Yuan and the others were all dead? At that moment, someone noticed that the Spirit Radiance sect was shrouded in light and seemed to be engaged in an intense battle. Elder Shao looked over and saw that it was in the direction of the southern Jade Square. Everyone hurriedly flew in the direction of the southern Jade Square. When they got close, Elder Shao's heart relaxed. He saw that the entire southern Jade Square was enveloped in a layer of light, and the people from the Spirit Radiance sect inside had set up the hexagonal starlight array. Elder Shao was a bit puzzled. Although the hexagonal starlight array was a relatively powerful defensive array, it was not enough to withstand such a large-scale spiritual power attack from the godly devil hall. What was going on? Before they had time to think, everyone flew down from the flying spirit tool. You scoundrels, you were working with the enemy. Today is the day you die. Su Yenran did not show any signs of panic when she saw everyone arrive. She said indifferently, "Where's Yun Chujio?" "Su Yenran, you're the last one who can ask about little ancestor Yun's whereabouts. Die." Elder Chu saw that the Spirit Radiance sect was almost in ruins. Yaz's eyes were filled with anger as he slapped his palm towards Su Yenran. Chapter 906. Ancestral Master Linghua's 3 predictions. Little Ancestral Master Yun? The people of your Spirit Radiance sect are despicable. How dare you acknowledge trash as your little ancestral master? You came at the right time. It's just the right time to capture all of you in one fell swoop. Kill them. Leave no one alive. Su Yenran sidestepped Elder Chu's attack. She suddenly slammed her palm towards Elder Chu's front heart. Elder Chu was shocked. How could Su Yanran's spiritual power be so high? It looked like she had already reached the 9th level of the spiritual sovereign realm and was only a step away from ascension. Elder Chu was not a pedantic person. Seeing that he was no match for her, he hurriedly shouted, "Everyone, let's attack together. I can't deal with this Su Yenran alone." 5 more Spirit Radiance sect elders came over and surrounded Su Yenran. Su Yenran curled her lips in disdain and waved her hands. She fought everyone and gradually gained the upper hand. As Yun Chujio had divided the people into 3 groups, they still had far fewer forces than the people of the Godly Devil Hall, and they gradually fell into a disadvantage. Seeing this, Master Xinyuan deactivated the hexagonal starlight array. The people inside also rushed out to help Elder Chu and the others fight against the people of the Godly Devil Hall. Even so, they were still not a match for the Godly Devil Hall. They gradually fell into a disadvantageous position, and the number of casualties increased. Su Yanran's eyes revealed a proud expression. You are already at the end of your rope. Those who know how to adapt to the situation are wise men. As long as you immediately abandon your allies and help us find the Eye of the Earth, I will spare you. Pui, tameless scum. Help you find the Eye of the Earth and let you destroy the Azure Mystic Continent? In your dreams. Su Yenran, don't be overconfident. When little Jiu gets here, I will take your life. Elder Chu scolded loudly. Su Yenran laughed coldly. Yun Chujio? I can't wait for her to get here quickly so that I can humiliate her properly. She's constantly ruining my plans. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have taken action so early. All of you suffered because of her. Today all of you will die. As Su Yenran said this, she became more and more aggressive. Elder Chu and the others gradually lost, and wounds started piling up on their bodies. The rest of them were also forced back by the people of the Godly Devil Hall. Du Gai's sword stabbed into the left shoulder of Master Xinyuan. He laughed wildly. Xinyuan Chongkong, why else are you hiding? You shrewd old man, I didn't expect that your Spirit Radiance sect had so many secrets. Unfortunately, it's useless. Today is the day you die. Master Xinyuan was extremely anxious. Those people in the square were the backbone of the Azure Mystic Continent. If they died, the Azure Mystic Continent would fall into the hands of the Godly Devil Hall. No, that would not be the case. There was still little Jiu. The first prediction was that whoever could find the spirit weapon hidden underground would be his true disciple. The second prediction was that once the Spirit Radiance sect was destroyed, they could activate the protective array in the southern Jade Square. The third prediction was that his true disciple would be able to save the Spirit Radiance sect from the fire and water. The first 2 rules had already come true, so the last one would as well. The moment Master Xinyuan was distracted, Du Gai found a flaw and stabbed his left leg. Master Xinyuan screamed and fell to the ground. Du Gai revealed a fierce smile. He raised his sword and stabbed at Master Xinyuan. Old man, die. Stop. Du Gai, you bastard. Stop right now. As he spoke, a fat old man rushed over from afar. Chapter 907. Sun Buzhong comes out of closed-door cultivation. Du Gai was stunned. He raised his head to look at the fat old man. At this moment, the fat old man had already rushed up to him. Sect Master, are you all right? What on earth is going on? How did I emerge from closed-door cultivation for 3 years to see things turn out like this? Elder son? It's a long story. In short, these people are all from the godly devil hall. Du Gai has already joined those villains. Now he wants to help the godly devil hall destroy the Azure Mystic Continent. Master Xianyuan explained the current situation in a few sentences. Taking advantage of the lull in fighting, he took out a medicinal pill to treat his injuries and swallowed it. The person who came was Yun Chujia's nominal master, Elder Sun Bozhong, who had been in seclusion for 3 years. At that moment he was already at the peak of the 7th level of the Spirit Emperor realm. If it wasn't for the fact that the protective array of the Spirit Radiance sect was broken, he wouldn't have been alarmed and would have spent another 2 years away before ending his seclusion. Du Gai saw that Elder Sun's level of spirit energy was the same as his, and a trace of fear appeared in his heart. This Sun Bozhong did not hold back when he fought. I might not be able to beat him. Elder Sun had always been a person who was easily angered. When he heard Master Xianyuan say this, he immediately exploded. He raised his large saber and slashed at Du Gai. You old man, you turned your back on others. You're fucking courting death. Du Gai did not dare to take it head-on. He jumped to the side and dodged Elder Sun's large saber. He raised his hand and several wind blades flew straight at Elder Sun. Elder Sun did not dodge at all. He slashed his saber and those wind blades instantly disappeared into the air. Du Gai grew even more fearful. This old fart, although he was of the same level as me, my spiritual power had artificially increased after eating some pills. Naturally, I haven't gotten used to my increased spiritual power yet compared to one that cultivated naturally like him. A wise man would know he was at a disadvantage against such opponents. He shouted to the side, "Come quickly, help me deal with this old man." Hearing Du Gai's shout, 3 gold-faced emissaries immediately jumped over. They were all at the 7th level of the Spirit Emperor realm. The 4 of them surrounded Elder Sun and started to fight him. An hour later, Elder Sun could not hold on any longer. Although his spirit energy was solid, it was more than enough to deal with one opponent at Du Gai's level. Dealing with 2 was also still manageable, but 4 of them at once was too much. Master Xianyuan was already entangled by 2 golden-masked men. He could not even take care of himself, let alone try to help Sun Bozhong. Du Gai laughed wildly. Sun Bozhong, you are so arrogant. Not so arrogant now, are you? You can only blame yourself for not being born at the right time. Originally, you could be considered a formidable figure, but now that you have met our godly devil hall, you will die today. Elder Sun's temper was explosive and he did not lose out when losing. Du Gai, you old bastard. Your grandfather died a good man, unlike you, a disgraceful grandson. For some personal benefits you even abandoned your ancestor. Du Gai's face was livid with anger. Kill him. Kill this old bastard for me. The 4 of them intensified their attacks. Elder Sun's clothes were gradually dyed red with blood, and his eyes were bloodshot. He still swung his saber fiercely like a tiger, a spitting image of a god of war. Du Gai felt a sense of fear in his heart. This Sun Bozhong was not human. He was injured so badly, yet he could still hold on for such a long time. He had to kill him today. Otherwise he would definitely become troublesome in the future. Everyone put in more effort. This old man is already at the end of his ropes. If we kill him now, the rest of these people are nothing to be afraid of. The 4 of them stepped up their attacks again. Elder Sun finally could not resist. He was stabbed in the abdomen by Du Gai, and his right leg was stabbed by another person. He used his saber to support his body, which was why he did not fall. Du Gai, even if I die, I will drag you all along with me. None of you will survive. Elder Sun roared angrily. Not good. He is going to self-destruct. Quickly dodge. Du Gai shouted in fear. Chapter 908. Little Bozhong, stop. Elder Sun threw his head back and laughed. Du Gai, you can't hide. Today I will drag you down with me. Elder Sun used all his strength to leap forward. Just as he was about to self-destruct his dantian, a burst of clear laughter rang out in the air. Little Uncle Zhong, your life is so precious. How can you waste it on these scumbags? Watch as I avenge you. Little ancestor? Elder Sun was instantly dumbfounded. Fuck. No one had called him that for hundreds of years, right? Who had the guts to call him that? The other people in the southern Jade Square also heard the voices in the air. They looked up and immediately burst into cheers. Little Ancestor Yun is here. The time of death for the godly devil hall has come. Little Ancestor Yun. Kill these shameless scum. Elder Sun was dumbfounded when he saw a beautiful girl riding a sword from the sky. He was puzzled. Little Ancestor Yun? Where did Little Ancestor Yun come from? Moreover, these people called her Little Ancestor Yun regardless of their sect. Could it be that this was her name? Why did she come up with such a weird name? After Yun Chujio landed on the ground, she glared fiercely at Elder Sunday. Trash dim sum. Can't you tell the good from the bad? Why are you trying to self-destruct like it's no big deal? Get lost. Elder Sun was dumbfounded. If not for his serious injuries, he would have wanted to slap this little girl to death. Who are you? How dare you lecture him in such a tone? How rude. At that moment, everyone stopped their attacks and gathered around Yun Chujio. For some reason, when they saw Yun Chujio, they felt confident and felt that there was no difficulty that they could not defeat despite their precarious situation. Yun Chujio ignored Elder Sun and glanced at the situation in front of her. Then she curled her lips and said, "The godly devil hall is really well known. Let me see, isn't it just a nest of wild cats and beasts? If you want me to say, don't call it the godly devil hall, just call it the hall of beasts." Hearing Yun Chujio's words, everyone burst into a burst of mocking laughter. When they saw this little girl, their hearts instantly calmed down. Du Gai said sinisterly, "Stinky girl, you've ruined the affairs of our godly devil hall time and time again. Prepare to die." Du Gai saw that Yun Chujio was only at the first level of the Spirit Emperor realm. Although he heard that this little girl was a little strange, he did not take it seriously. He raised his sword and stabbed toward her. He also had the intention to contribute to the cause. If he could capture or kill Yun Chujio, it would be a huge win for them. Su Yenran stood at the side and did not stop him. She also wanted to assess Yun Chujio's current strength. Anyway, with Yun Xiaotian in hand, she would not be able to escape from her hands. At that moment, Du Gai was already busy fighting with Yun Chujio. He thought that if he would be able to take Yun Chujio down in less than 15 minutes. He never expected that although Yun Chujio dodged his attacks every time, she was not injured at all. Moreover, she was running her mouth the entire time. Du Gai, do you think you are going back to your old self? You are a sect leader, but you are shameless enough to be someone else's lackey. You're so cheap. Su Yenran was originally your disciple, but now you are actually calling her lord. You are the model of shamelessness and disgrace. Du Gai, you have forgotten your ancestors. For a so-called meteoric rise, you even abandoned your ancestors. I think you should stop calling yourself Du Gai in the future and just call yourself Wang Ba-yi. Chapter 909. Yun Chujio or Little Ancestor Yun. Du Gai was so angry that he almost died. However, no matter how hard he tried, Yun Chujio was able to dodge his attacks every time. It always looked like he almost hit her, but there was no damage at all. Wang Ba-yi, you're not that good. Could it be that you sold out your ancestors and your conscience in exchange for such weak spiritual power? You really are stupid. Du Gai, if I were you, I would find a piece of tofu and smash it to death. That's the best thing you can destroy with your power. You have the face to show off here. Your skin is really thick to a certain level. It's amazing. Du Gai almost fainted from anger. This little girl had always had a sharp tongue in the past. He did not expect her to be even more venomous now. She was too infuriating. He had to kill her. However, even though he had used all of his strength, Yun Chujio had barely broken a sweat. Moreover, she had never stopped talking. She had specifically pushed Du Gai's buttons. She had even sprinkled a handful of salt on his wounds. Everyone was watching the battle from behind. Elder Sun had already recovered a little after consuming a medicinal pill. He poked Master Xinyuan beside him. "Master, who is that little girl? Her name is Little Ancestor Yun? Why does everyone know her? Is she very famous?" The corners of Master Xuanyuan's eyes twitched. He thought to himself, this little girl was able to enter the Spirit Radiance sect because of you. You don't recognize her? She is Yun Chujio. You met her in the Demon Beast Forest back then. Have you forgotten? Elder Sun was stunned, then he grinned. "Master, don't tease me. Back then I did save a little girl named Yun Chujio. However, not only was that little girl dark and thin, but she was also a poor little girl without any spirit energy. How could it be her? Besides, isn't her name Yunchujio? It's not like her name is little ancestor Yun. She is Yunchujio. She has a heavenly thunder root spirit. It was just that it was not known back then. Moreover, little ancestor Yun is not her name but a form of address. She is ancestral master Linghua's personal disciple, so we call her little ancestor Yun. What the hell? Ancestral master Linghua's personal disciple? Sect master, are you out of your mind? Ancestral master Linghua has ascended for tens of thousands of years. How could he accept a little girl as his disciple? Elder Sun could not believe his ears. It's true. Ancestral master Linghua had once left a message that whoever could find the treasure he left behind in the South Jade Square would be his personal disciple. Coincidentally, that treasure was discovered by Yun Chujio, so she became ancestral master Linghua's personal disciple. Look, the staff in her hand was left behind by ancestral master Linghua. Chapter 9-10. A promise to repay the favor. Following Yun Chujio's words, lightning bolt after lightning bolt struck Du Gai. Du Gai hurriedly dodged. Although he had heard of Yun Chujio's heavenly thunder root spirit, this was the first time he had seen it with his own eyes. Not only was Yun Chujio able to use purple heavenly lightning, but her left and right hands were also able to continuously strike without pause. His heart tightened. This little girl was indeed strange. Although Du Gai was 2 levels higher than Yun Chujio in terms of spirit power, his spirit power was stimulated by medicinal pills. Moreover, he had been fighting for the past few days, and his spirit power had also been greatly depleted. Compared to Yun Chujio, he was slightly at a disadvantage. However, Yun Chujio had a cheat, and that was her mouth. While fighting, she was also insulting Du Gai. Although Du Gai had sought refuge with the godly devil hall for the great Tao of longevity, he could not say that he did not have the slightest bit of guilt in his heart. He was flustered by Yun Chujio's barrage of derogatory words. Yun Chujio saw an opening and shot a bolt of lightning at Du Gai's left shoulder. Du Gai let out a miserable cry, clutched his shoulder and jumped to the side. Yun Chujio did not continue to chase after him. Instead, she hooked her finger at Su Yenran. Su Yenran, do you feel that you can't be seen in public, so you put on a purple mask? Su Yenran sneered and slowly walked over. Yun Chujio, I didn't expect that the trash from back then would have the time to fight me. However, your glory will only last until today. Su Yenran, don't you feel guilty saying that? Don't you know why your spiritual power rose so quickly? You have the nerve to call me trash. Yun Chujio curled her lips. Humph. I have my reasons for that. Yun Chujio, don't think that you can win against Du Gai. You are not my opponent. I will make you admit your defeat today. Su Yenran did not use her weapon. Instead, she formed a seal with her hands and thousands of wind blades flew toward Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio suddenly jumped up and dodged the wind blades. Before she landed on the ground, a bolt of lightning had already flown toward Su Yenran. Su Yenran dodged and then threw out a few more wind blades. The two of them were evenly matched. Master Xinyuan frowned. Little Jio was no match for Su Yenran. In less than 15 minutes she would definitely begin to slow down. Sure enough, after 15 minutes Yun Chujio was at a disadvantage. She could only parry and had no strength to fight back. Su Yenran finally released her pent-up anger from the past few years. She said proudly, Yun Chujio, trash will always be trash. You will never surpass me. So what if you have a heavenly thunder spirit root? So what if you can seduce men? You are still trash. Yun Chujio curled her lips. Su Yenran, don't celebrate too early. Look at the sword. As Yun Chujio spoke, 5 immortal swords suddenly flew out and stabbed toward Su Yenran. The 5 immortal swords were all aimed at Su Yenran's vital points. Su Yenran was shocked. She was caught off guard and could not dodge in time. She had no choice but to use her spiritual energy shield to withstand the attack. The two of them fought again. Everyone was dumbfounded. Gosh, one person could actually command 5 flying swords at the same time. This is an illusion, right? How powerful was her spiritual sense? Even someone at the peak of the 9th layer of the spiritual emperor realm could not pull that off. Elder Sun's mouth was wide open. This little girl was indeed powerful. He suddenly remembered that back when they were outside Yi City, The little girl had once said that she would repay them with a small favor. At that time they had thought that it was just a joke. At that moment he did not expect that he would have to rely on this little girl to turn the tide. Some people could not help but shout, "Little ancestor Yun, if you can't hold on, let's attack her together." Yun Chujio replied while she dodged another of Su Yanran's attacks, "Don't worry, this traitor isn't a match for me. I'll kill her myself." Su Yanran sneered, "Yun Chujio, you're really stubborn. I'm no match for you? I'll send you to hell right now." "Go to hell. If you want to go there you can go yourself. You shameless little bitch, I'll strike you to death with lightning. Take this. And this. And this. And this." Yun Chujio kept up her verbal assault alongside her lightning attacks. However, her heart grew more uncertain. This Su Yanran was too difficult to deal with. She was no match for her at all. Should she give up just like that? Not to mention losing face, the potential damage to the morale of her allies was too great. What should she do to kill her? Yun Chujio suddenly gritted her teeth. For now she could only forcefully break through. She was now at the 5th level of the spiritual emperor realm. After breaking through she could at least reach the 8th level of the spiritual emperor realm. When that time came she could fight on par with her. That was what she should do. Therefore while Yun Chujio was fighting with Su Yanran, she quickly refined the power of lightning from the strange grass at the same time. The power of lightning in her meridians and dantian steadily increased. Chapter 9:12. Kill all of you. Seeing that Yun Chujio gradually weakened, Su Yanran was delighted. This blight on her conscience that had plagued her for 3 years was about to be dispelled. As long as she killed Yun Chujio, the Azure Mystic Continent would be within her grasp. As the joy of her impending victory filled her heart, her attacks became increasingly fierce. On the other hand, Yun Chujio slowly retreated in defeat. The people of the Spirit Radiance sect felt their hearts clench. Little Jia was going to lose. If she was in danger, they would save her no matter what. Thus, everyone was on full alert. They were prepared to save Yun Chujio when she was on the verge of defeat. Someone suddenly noticed that the sky had started to turn dark. Everyone looked up and saw several dark clouds gathering toward them. Everyone thought to themselves, could it be that it was going to rain? However, Yun Chujio's heart was filled with joy. The gathering of dark clouds meant that she was about to break through successfully. She only needed to hold on for a little longer. At that time, with the power of the heavenly lightning, she would definitely be able to get rid of Su Yanran. Just as Yun Chujio was thinking about this, Su Yanran caught her by surprise. A gold wind blade tore through her spiritual energy barrier and landed on her left arm. Fresh blood immediately oozed out. Yun Chujio was in so much pain that she shivered. This pain stimulated her fighting spirit even more. She smiled brightly and said, "Su Yanran, my ultimate move is about to come. I advise you to kneel and admit your mistakes right now. I might let you live." Su Yanran was so angry that she was amused. "Yun Chujio, are you delusional? You should be the one kneeling. In less than 15 minutes you will die without a doubt." "Without a doubt? Then let's wait and see. Let's see who dies in the end." Yun Chujio continued to increase her spiritual power and finally reached the critical point of breaking through. At this moment the sky gradually darkened. The gathered Wu Yun suddenly struck down a bolt of purple lightning. Yun Chujio immediately screamed and moved closer to Su Yanran. "Damn you stupid Wu Yun, you can't even hit me. If you don't believe me you can try. I'm running so fast." These Wu Yun were the same ones that struck Yun Chujio at Longping Mountain back then. They thought that they had already killed Yun Chujio, this scourge, but they did not expect that she was still alive. They were too angry at Yun Chujio, so they repeatedly struck at her. This time, no matter what, they had to kill her. Although they did not injure the innocent, they would occasionally miss. When they saw Yun Chujio running around in all directions, they were so annoyed that they kept trying to hit her. The people from the Spirit Radiance sect had long known about Yun Chujio's abilities and knew that they had to retreat far away. However, the people from the Godly Devil Hall did not know what was happening. The first one to suffer was Su Yanran, who was closest to Yun Chujio. A bolt of heavenly lightning was supposed to strike Yun Chujio, but unexpectedly Yun Chujio suddenly turned her body, and that bolt of lightning struck Su Yenran instead. It was already too late for Su Yenran to dodge, so she could only use her spiritual energy barrier to block the bolt of heavenly lightning. Su Yenran was so angry that she gnashed her teeth. Just as she was about to settle the score with Yun Chujio, she found that Yun Chujio was charging toward the people from the godly Devil Hall. She was provoking the heavenly lightning while she ran amongst the godly Devil Hall forces, and the heavenly lightning was so angry that it could not differentiate between right and wrong. Although most of the lightning struck Yun Chujio, there were still quite a number of heavenly lightning strikes that struck the people from the godly Devil Hall. Although some people were not injured, they had lost quite a number of spirit weapons. Some unlucky people were even severely injured. The people from the godly Devil Hall immediately retreated quickly as if they were avoiding the plague. This was a devil who could not be killed by the heavenly lightning strikes. She was a monster. Her entire person had suffered a huge blow. Impossible. She was already so strong, so how could Yun Chujio, this trash, still be able to defeat her? It was impossible. Su Yenran gritted her teeth. Forget it. Her doubts could be solved later. She had to kill Yun Chujio first. Thus she jumped back and sneered, Yun Chujio, stop. If you want Yun Xiaotian to live, you have to kill yourself immediately. What did you do to my grandfather? I have to see my grandfather safe and sound with my own eyes. Yun Chujio indeed panicked. She completely lost her calm and self-confidence from before. Su Yenran immediately revealed a smug smile. So what if you're strong? I've found your weakness. I had no doubt that you'd stop when I mentioned your grandfather. Su Yenran took out a voice transmission talisman and sent a message to the golden masked man guarding Yun Xiaotian. She motioned for him to bring Yun Xiaotian over. Then to her horror she realized that the voice transmission talisman had not worked. Su Yenran sent another voice transmission talisman to another golden masked man, but it also did not work. This could only mean one thing. They had already been killed. Yun Xiaotian must have already been rescued. Chapter 9:14. Demonic beasts unleashed. Su Yanran's face immediately turned ashen. That was impossible. She had sent 15 golden masked men to guard Yun Xiaotian. They all had spiritual power above the 6th layer of the Spirit Emperor realm, and they were not far from here. How could they be taken out? Yun Chujio laughed mockingly. Su Yenran, you still don't admit that your brain isn't working. You only sent a few people to guard the hostages and they aren't even in sight. Don't you think you're even dumber than a pig? Did you send people to kidnap Yun Xiaotian? Su Yanran's face was ashen. Yun Xiaotian was her trump card, but she had not expected Yun Chujio to send people to save him. What now, Su Yenran? Your trump card is already gone. Now it's time for us to fight to the death. Yun Chujio said with a cold smile. Only then did Su Yenran remember that the young Master Di and Yun Chuling who had always been by Yun Chujio's side had not appeared. Presumably they were the ones who went to save him. No wonder when Yun Chujio fought with Du Gai previously she could have won, yet she just rambled on and on while fighting her. It turned out that she was trying to stall for time and divert her attention. He was really cunning. Humph. Yun Chujio, although I don't have Yun Xiaotian as my trump card anymore, just you people alone are not our match. Moreover, we still have the people of the 5 cities in our hands. If you dare to make a move, I will give the order to kill those people. Su Yanran, do you take me for a fool? Those people were captured by you to provide the blood source for the evil formation. How could they have a chance to live? Moreover, you are getting ahead of yourself. We don't only have the forces you see here. We also have many reinforcements elsewhere. Moreover, they are very powerful reinforcements. Su Yenran sneered and said, Yun Chujio, there is a limit to your boasting. Almost all the high-level cultivators of the Azure Mystic Continent are here. What other reinforcements could you possibly have? Could it be the people at the spirit enhancement level? Yun Chujio did not answer her. Instead she said to the people of the Spirit Radiance sect behind her, you guys make some space. The bigger the better. I'm going to call for reinforcements. Some people knew that Yun Chujio was going to release the demonic beasts, but others did not. They thought to themselves, why did she ask to make room for reinforcements? However, because of Yun Chujia's usual strange behavior, they all obediently moved away. Yun Chujia raised her hand and high-level demon beasts began to appear in the empty space one after another. Immediately, the earth-shaking roars of the beasts resounded throughout the entire Spirit Radiance sect, and they could even be heard within a radius of several hundred li. Those demon beasts, especially the demon beasts of the Elixir Valley, hated the people of the godly Devil Hall to death. Fuck, if it wasn't for you guys, we would have been fine in the Elixir Valley. Would we have had to submit to this little devil? Would we have to leave our homes and follow her all the way to seek revenge on you guys? We have been starving for a few days. We are going to eat our fill using you as food. The demonic beasts had fierce looks in their eyes as they stared at the people from the godly Devil Hall across from them. When the people from the godly Devil Hall saw so many high-level demonic beasts, they almost wet their pants in fear. But this Yun Chuju was not human. How could she get so many demonic beasts and they were all high-level ones? Why did these demonic beasts listen to her commands? How was this possible? Su Yanran's heart suddenly sank. It was over. The situation was over. If they only had those cultivators to contend with, the victory of the godly Devil Hall would be assured. However, with so many high-level demonic beasts around, even if they doubled their manpower, they would still not be a match for them. The only thing they could do now was to retreat to the Heavenly Gate sect first, and then find an opportunity to counterattack. At that moment, something unexpected happened. No one expected that just when Yun Chujio and the other two's attacks were about to hit Su Yanran, a crack was torn open in the air. Suddenly, a big hand appeared and dragged Su Yanran into it. Before Yun Chujio and the other two could react, the crack had already disappeared as if nothing had happened. However, Su Yanran had disappeared without a trace. Yun Chujio was stunned for a moment. Then she began to command the demonic beasts to clean up the remaining people of the godly Devil Hall. She deliberately left a few golden-masked men behind for Beiming to conduct a soul search. As the godly Devil Hall had revealed themselves, those forces were no longer hidden. Therefore, even without the clues provided by these golden-masked men, it was very easy to find those forces. In their spiritual senses, there was very little information about that master. Even the information about Su Yanran was only limited to the usual orders given, and the person who usually contacted them was another purple-masked man. That purple-masked man was much older than Su Yanran. Some golden-masked men had been recruited by him 10 years ago. At that time, Su Yanran was only a few years old, and they were all already bribed and groomed by another purple-masked man. Chapter 9:16. The Ruthless Godly Devil Hulk. Prince Charming, where is the place where they went to swear their allegiance to the godly Devil Hall? How did they set it up? Yun Chujio recalled that Ren Lizzie had once said that they, silver-masked men, had to go somewhere to be initiated into the godly Devil Hall. Beiming curled the corners of his lips. It's at the evil formation that we destroyed at Longping Mountain. Seems that there's something else going on inside. After we're done here, we'll go check it out again. Yun Chujio nodded. The battle was nearing its end. The people from the godly Devil Hall were no match for the demonic beasts. Moreover, when they saw that Su Yanran had disappeared, they lost their fighting spirit and were quickly annihilated. Du Gai's cultivation was crippled by Master Xianyuan and his men. He was locked up because he was the only one who knew many secrets of the Heavenly Gate sect and had to be handed over to the Heavenly Gate sect to deal with. Unexpectedly, Du Gai suddenly bled to death from his orifices just as he was tied up. Those gold-masked men who were used by Beiming to perform soul-searching on also ended up like Du Gai. They bled to death from their orifices. It was probably done by that purple-masked man or Su Yanran using evil techniques. They were really ruthless. Yun Chujio arranged for a portion of people to stay behind to clean up the battlefield. Then she brought a portion of people and all the demon beasts to the Heavenly Gate sect to assist another group of cultivators. Just as Yun Chujio had guessed, the other group did not suffer much resistance after they arrived at the Heavenly Gate sect. The followers of the godly Devil Hall had all gone to the Spirit Radiance sect. Other than a few gold-masked men, The rest were regular followers of the Heavenly Gates sect. They had only been forced by Du Gai and Su Yenran, so they had immediately turned against them after hearing that others were fighting against those two. They had helped them deal with the gold-masked men. After killing the gold-masked men, they followed Yun Chujia's instructions and first rescued the trapped commoners before destroying the evil formation. By the time Yun Chujio arrived, things had already come to an end. Yun Chujio had left behind some alchemists to help the commoners, then brought everyone else to the Skyblade sect and the Bixiao Palace. It did not take much effort to subdue the two sects, and without exception the gold-masked men and silver-masked men had all bled to death from their 7 orifices. It was clear that the godly Devil Hall had treated these people as pawns and had directly silenced them. Everyone sighed. These people were still dreaming of ascending. Even if they could find the eye of the earth, they would probably end up like this. How foolish. However, the godly Devil Hall's ruthlessness could be seen from this. It was likely that only the purple-masked men would benefit, and the others were just chess pieces that could be discarded at any time. Yun Chujio led her men in a rush to Longping Mountain without rest. What shocked them was that the original underground palace had been razed to the ground, and there was a burnt smell from inside. The godly Devil Hall forces must have burned the things inside before destroying it. A shadow could not help but cover the hearts of the people. They were afraid that the godly Devil Hall would make a comeback. Yun Chujio cleared her throat and said, "Everyone, don't worry too much. Although we did not completely destroy the godly Devil Hall this time, we have already eliminated the majority of their forces in the Azure Mystic Continent. Even if they want to make a comeback, it will take them several years. During this period, as long as everyone is on guard, it will not be easy for them to exert their influence. Moreover, the person who saved Su Yenran is very likely to be the master. It seems that he must have torn through the void to save Su Yenran. This means that he cannot step foot in the Azure Mystic Continent personally, he can only make use of his lackeys to help him accomplish his goals. Therefore their strength won't be too terrifying. As long as we are united, even if they make a comeback, we can destroy them again." Chapter 9:17. The days of self-indulgence. When everyone heard Yun Chujia's words, they all nodded. He was right. As long as they strengthened their defenses, it would not be so easy for the godly Devil Hall to strike back. Moreover, they had suffered a great loss this time. They would not have the chance to turn things around for at least another decade. Everyone returned to the Spirit Radiant sect once again. The disciples there were currently cleaning up the battlefield. This calamity had destroyed 1/3 of the Spirit Radiant sect's foundation that had existed for tens of thousands of years. Were it not for Yun Chujia's efforts in turning things around, the Spirit Radiant sect would probably no longer exist. Since the matter had temporarily come to an end, the people of the various sects all made their farewells. Yun Chujio waved her little hands to send everyone off. As the people of the Spirit Radiant sect had to rebuild their sect, they were also extremely busy. Yun Chujio simply greeted Master Xinyuan and then went with Di Baiming Shui Wuji and the others to find a place to resettle the demon beasts. The demon beasts originally from the demon beast forest were naturally sent back there. Yun Chujio had promised these demon beasts that after the battle, she would give them blood coagulation pills. After fulfilling her promise, she sent them all back to the demon beast forest. The demon beasts in the Elixir Valley were more accustomed to life in the valley, so Yun Chujio sent them off and released them in a few different valleys. The Leopard King and the Golden Tortoise were still somewhat reluctant to part, so Yun Chujio secretly gave them some pills. Only then did these two fellows leave happily. The corners of Yun Chujio's eyes twitched. Damn it, she thought that they were genuinely reluctant to part with her, but it turned out that they were trying to swindle some additional benefits off her. The illusionary electric eel in the spirit beast bag was the most miserable. It was different from others. Only was the only sea beast and had to be sent somewhere appropriate. Moreover, the Spirit Radiant sect was located deep inland, so Yun Chujio did not have any plans to go toward the sea. For the time being, it could only continue to stay in the spirit beast bag in misery. Di Baiming and Shui Wuji helped Yun Chujio settle down those demon beasts and also returned to the Tianyuan continent one after another. They felt that it was necessary to thoroughly investigate the situation in the Tianyuan continent to prevent the godly devil Hall from also setting foot in the Tianyuan continent. After Yun Chujio waved her little handkerchief to send the two of them off, the days of self-indulgence began. To thank Yun Chujio for saving their lives, the various sects invited Yun Chujio as their guest. Not only did she finish eating everything, but she also returned with a full load of leftovers each time. She had found it fun and had been happily attending banquets all day long. She had also earned a lot of money. Most importantly, she had also obtained 2 pieces of the Great Void Mirror fragments from the Bixiao Palace and the Skyblade sect. After the Great Void Mirror was repaired, it was upgraded again, and it could release low-grade earth-grade spirit herbs and demon beasts below the 9th level. In the past, Yun Chujio would have been very satisfied, but now she had high standards and felt that this function was underwhelming. It was not good enough, so she had to continue her search for the remaining broken pieces. She indulged himself for a month and before she started to do her work. That was to find a way to improve the aptitude of the Yun siblings. Although they had been cultivating diligently, their aptitude was limited. If they did not find a way to improve, they would probably end up stuck at the 5th level of the spiritual emperor realm, with no hope of ascending further. Although Feng Ming and the other 2 were much more talented than them, they would be hundreds of years old before they ascended. Firstly, Yun Chujio wanted to help them, and secondly, she had her own selfish motives for doing so. It would not be long before she ascended to the Tianyuan continent, and the Yun residents would not be at ease. If the Yun siblings' spiritual power increased by a large margin, they would be able to better help protect it. In addition, she felt that she should bring a few others along to enter the Tianyuan Academy. Otherwise, if she was alone, she might not be able to compete with those naturally talented disciples there. Feng Ming and the other 2 had just broken through to the 1st level of the Spirit Emperor realm a few days ago. Their aptitude was not bad, and as long as they had the appropriate medicinal pills to assist them, they would be able to ascend together with her. That little bitch Su Yenran used less than a year to soar to the 9th level of the Spirit Sovereign realm, so that meant would be medicinal pills that would allow Feng Ming and the others to rapidly advance. She had this sort of mysterious confidence, and so she began to attempt all sorts of things. Chapter 9:18. The Universal Essence Cleansing Pill. The demonic beasts in the Great Void Mystic Realm had become guinea pigs. Yun Chujio had locked herself in the courtyard all day to fiddle with the pills and then test them on those low-level demonic beasts. After those demonic beasts ate the pills that Yun Chujio fiddled with, some of them grew an additional tail, some of them had 3 mouths, some of them had colorful fur, and the saddest one was an earth-splitter brown bear. All of its fur had fallen off. From then on, it began to run around naked. When the Yun siblings, Feng Ming and the others came to visit Yun Chujio told them about her intention to concoct pills. At first, everyone was filled with anticipation and joy, but after seeing those demonic beasts that ate Yun Chujio's pills, one by one they fled at high speed. Damn it! How was that a pill that could raise one's aptitude? Those were pills that could kill. They would rather cultivate steadily than eat those pills. They didn't want to become monsters. Yun Chujio was undeterred. Even though she had failed countless times, she still stayed in the courtyard and fiddled around. Elder Qi was very interested in her experiments. Sometimes he would come over to join in on the fun. That day, Elder Qi ran over excitedly. Little Ju, I found this. Quick, take a look." Although Yun Chujio's identity as Little Ancestor Yun was confirmed, she felt that there was no point in putting on airs. Thus he still let Elder Qi and the others call him Little Jiu. That way both sides would be more at ease. Yun Chujio saw that Elder Qi had handed over a yellowed sheepskin scroll. When she opened it, it seemed to be a handwritten letter. "Little Jiu, didn't our Spirit Radiant sect suffer a heavy blow previously? Although the library wasn't attacked, the sect leader felt that since most of the grounds were being renovated, the library should be renovated as well. When a disciple was organizing the library, he found this handwritten letter under a bookshelf. It seemed to be used to pad the bookshelf. Little Jiu, look at this record of the Universal Essence Cleansing Pill. Is it similar to the medicinal pill you want to refine?" When Yun Chujio saw the record, she was ecstatic. After taking this Universal Essence Cleansing Pill, it could remove the impurities in a person's spirit root. Although it could not reach the level of a heavenly spirit root, it could increase the purity of the spirit root to above 8 stars. Yunchujie was very puzzled. Why was such a good pill formula not passed down? She continued reading and saw that although the universal essence cleansing pill's effect was heaven-defying, there were many restrictions. One had to have a body of Yuan Yang and Yuan Yin under the age of 25, and their spiritual power level had to be above the 5th layer of the spirit cultivator realm. If one's aptitude was not good, how would one reach the 5th layer of the spirit cultivator realm before the age of 25? That was the first reason. The second reason was that the pill's effect was too heaven-defying. Once it was refined, it would definitely attract heavenly lightning. At the very least, the alchemist's cultivation would be impaired, and at the very worst they would be struck to death. Thirdly, the medicinal herbs required for this pill were all high-grade earth-grade, especially one of the primordial fruit. It was rarely seen in the world and was hard to find. Therefore this pill formula was of little value. Although its effects were astonishing, it had no flexibility. Yunchujie rubbed her chin. The first one was easy to handle. Fourth brother and the others had just broken through to the 5th layer of the spirit cultivator realm a few days ago. Moreover, they usually kept their bodies clean and did not do anything that involved pleasure with the opposite gender. As for senior brother Feng Ming and the other two, it was hard to say. She would ask them one day. The second one was even less of a problem. She could not wait for the heavenly lightning to strike her. She was very willing to be struck, so she welcomed it. However, the third one was a little difficult to handle. She could collect and obtain other herbs. It was just that the Prince Charming had given her 2 primordial fruits back then, but they had all been eaten by her. If she had known earlier, she would have kept them. You're tuning in to the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.